something specific that you learned. I see Nigeria flag everywhere. Rep your country. I see you, Nigeria. Ali Ibrahim says professional ethics. That was from Professor Soji Apampa. Nigeria. Is everybody here in Nigeria? David from Nigeria, we see you. David Yusuf. Please let me see other countries. If you're coming in, if you're joining in from Kenya. Yesterday we had Kenya, we had America. Let me know where you're joining in. Mohammed, I see you again from Sierra Leone. Sophia says Professor Soji's session was fire. I'm with you on that. Promise from Nigeria. Ali Ibrahim, be flexible and doing things consistently right. All right, thank you guys so much. Please keep repping your country. Let me know what you got. I see you, Peace. You're welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you. You're doing a wonderful job, Aku.
Thank you so much, Peace. I would love to know what was your, a specific take home for yesterday. What was something that you really learned yesterday?
For me, yesterday was a mixture of fast-paced and sober reflection. So David Dokun came with all the energy, we're all buzzing, the whole arc of presentation skills and all. And then Soji Apampa had us really introspecting to find out what principles govern us. Are we ethical leaders and how we can do better? So for me, the both sessions were just, I don't even know how to explain it. Very, very, very good. I'm sure that today's is also going to be equally nice. How about you, Ako?
Both sessions were amazing for me. Just like you said, they came with the energy, with know your. Because let's all say it together. Know your art. Know your aim. Know your audience. Know your content and know your content.
Yes.
So I mean, it was very interesting, and his quotes. I wrote it down. Know your why, so you will not cry. David Doku, November 2023. Afolabi's hand is up. Afolabi, do you want to share what you learned yesterday, or something that stood out for you? You can go ahead if that's what you want to do. Afolabi, go ahead. Okay, so I think Afolabi is having issues with his audio because I can't see his audio here. Thank you, Mohammed. You were clearly listening. Mohammed Abubakar Lawan. He spelled out the audience, reason, and content for us. Yes, know your audience, know your content. Both sessions were really amazing. And then for Professor Soji Apampa, who is also, a friend of ours, it's always a pleasure to see him. Just like you said, it was a moment of reflection. You think about what pushes you, your motivations for a lot of your actions, and you begin to think, okay, apart from the cliche Nigerian response to situation, what would be my own response? So we have some hands up, and I would really love to hear people share. We still have Afolabi's hand up, even though his audio, I can't see him. I think he has an issue. Afolabi, if you can hear me, you can log out and log in again. Eval Michael, your hand is up. You can share something you learned yesterday. Eva, you can speak.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. There were a lot I learned yesterday. However, I'll just talk about the integrity part. Actually, in the country we live in, integrity is rare. I'm going to categorize it to what I'll call a diamond, if anyone has it. As expensive as it is still thrown on the street. Nobody appreciates integrity so much in Nigeria. However, integrity is not about what we gain at the moment. It's about what we can do at the long run. I think he talked about having a principle that guides what we do, our work ethics, so to say. So the principle isn't going to be what everyone is doing, but it should be a principle based on morals. And it has to be of a higher value than what people already know. So whether the next person is an integrity keeper or not shouldn't determine whether I would be. He mentioned about a frog that will eventually adapt and eventually die in a state where it isn't comfortable for him. So whether I am comfortable in this situation or not, if I see that eventually it's going to spoil my reputation, best bet, walk away from that situation rather than compromise integrity. I think for me, that alone was quite big because I find it challenging to notice why people um, they don't want to give in their best, even when they have their best to give in a situation, but they feel, how much are they paying me anyway? So I rather not take a task than take a task and be mediocratic in it. Well done, everyone.
Thank you very much, Eval, for that summary. That session was truly impactful. I mean, I wrote down a question, am I a boiling frog? So that would always keep, whenever I have any decision to make, I'll keep rehearsing and rehashing that question to guide my decision. Any other person raising up their hands? Afolabi, is your audio good now? Hello, Afolabi. Can you unmute yourself?
Hello.
All right, you can speak now.
Hello, ma.
All right, please go on. We can hear you.
I can't hear you clearly, ma. I'm sorry.
Okay. Maybe you just type your aha moments you had yesterday in the chat box. Seems your audio is having issues, huh? So let's take Samson Uzoe for now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Samson.
Okay. Yes, yesterday I learned that integrity is an indirect currency on a fixed deposit. I'm a testimony to this. I've withdrawn a fixed deposit of my father's integrity. Someone offered me something huge just because of what he has, an encounter he had with my father. So I learned a lot yesterday. Integrity pays, but not immediately. It pays on the long run. So if you are able to hold your integrity, your capacity not to compromise in what you are doing, it pays a lot. Not immediately, but later on. It might not pay you, pay your relatives. But the good thing about it is that it's a fixed deposit that must be withdrawn one day, either by you or by someone else.
That's great. And I'm sure you also are planning to pass down that fixed deposit to your children, Samson.
Sure.
Let's be a generational wealth that you built. Track record of integrity down the line, even to the 5th and 6th generations. Well done, Samson. I noticed that NIQS, that's the Nigerian Institution of Quantity Surveyors Foundation, raised their hands a while ago. Please, let's hear from them. They are one of our partners for this event, please. NIQS Foundation, please, we are yielding the mic to you right now. Let's hear you talk to us of what we have gotten so far. Okay.
I think IG would like to speak as well.
Oh, great, great there. So IG, do you want to go first? While NIQS.
Yes, if you let me go first. Good morning.
Sure, sir.
Everyone. I just love what Samson said. I love what Samson said because we all are leaders in our different spheres. Either you are a leader in your family, you are a leader in your class, you are a leader in your group of friends, you are a leader in your church, you are a leader in your mosque, you are a leader in your club. Anywhere you are a leader. In your school, you are a leader. Samson's father has influenced him. I'm sure for those of you who are connected to me on LinkedIn, you saw the post I wrote on my late father. It's important that parents impact the right culture in their children, the right values. That's the only way the society can grow great. You remember our famous quote, a society goes great when old men, and of course old women, plant trees in whose shade they know they shall never sit in. My father has passed on 18 years, it's going to 19 now, 18 plus. Yet I'm guided by the values he placed in me. And I believe I'm doing the same thing to my children. So we cannot sit on the fence and say, no, I cannot make the difference. Your little difference in your sphere of influence, if everybody does that, we're going to see a change in the whole country. It's not enough to sit down and complain. We need to play our own part. Now, you didn't ask me what I learned yesterday.
IG, please go ahead.
You know, when we took the different case studies with Soji, I was reminded when we talked about the case of, I've forgotten the name of the person, but the man who had worked in an organization for a long time and his son was dying and they wanted to commit a fraud to raise money for him to help the son. There are sometimes you even put your life on the line to defend your integrity. Because what do you stand for as a human being? You see, life is not just only about the length of your life, but what's the impact you have made? You come to this world, live a useless life and go away without impact? You have to ask yourself, what do I stand for? Somebody put in the chat section yesterday, oh, because you have money. Not correct. I've always been like this. Like I just told you now, my father trained me to be like this. He trained us to be like this. So I've not always had money. I don't even have money anyway. Having money is relative. It's true. Some of my mates are flying private jets. So you can't say that I have money. I have so much money. So what am I saying? We need to take a stand. That we've lost money, plenty of projects because of our stand. So we could have made more money. But we have chosen to take this stand. Let us not take the easy route. It's very easy to pay and go on. And give ourselves an excuse that, oh, we didn't have a choice. We had a choice. And we should make the right choice. Thank you, Peace.
Thank you very much, IG, for that one. NIQS Foundation, are you ready now? Can we have your own? Can you weigh in at this moment so we'll also hear from you before we start the program proper? Okay. It seems they are not in at the moment. All right. So, Ako. Great. So right now we are starting the session with a keynote address from our very own IG. I like to call myself IG's daughter. Yes, I am his daughter. He's my father. And
you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
My darling daughter.
I've been impacted immensely by the Kaiser Foundation. The past 2 years, being a mentee with the Graduate Entrepreneurship Scheme program and being an alumni of this soft skills training. This is my 4th time joining this program since 2021. I must say, it's always aha moments upon aha moments. So let's hear from the visionary himself, Igwe Anokaisa, I must add engineer, as he takes on the welcome address to charge us to the importance of having and keeping these soft skills. IG, over to you.
Thank you so much, my dear daughter. It's always such a pleasure to be on this program. Yesterday, I spoke to you from a different city. Today, I'm in another city. But even my flight schedule was done such that I will not miss this program. That's how important people are to me. So I want to greet you again. Good day, everyone. And I want to formally welcome you to this soft skills training by Kaiser Foundation for Social Development, called KFSD. As we gather here to delve into an aspect of professional development that is often overlooked, soft skills, I feel the need to share the journey that has led us to prioritize and invest in soft skills training. So I want to start with my personal experience. About 15 years ago, I was privileged to attend a program at the Harvard Business School that lasted 3 years.
Right.
It lasted about it was a 3-year program. So imagine Harvard Business School, the top business school in the world. And then we had this strategy competition where we're broken up into 7 groups. Each group had about 10 people, and they were supposed to have a strategy competition. Present to a group, and then whoever wins in the group, we have the opportunity to present in the whole class to strategy professors in Harvard Business School, and then they will now talk about your business. So I remember Jamila and I and the other members of the group went to stay in a hotel for 3 days, locked ourselves up to do this assignment. After that, just to show you how seriously we took it. After that, I flew to Boston. I was pumped up, presented to my class. I won in my group of 10. I was now in the finals to present in front of the whole class and strategy professors at Harvard Business School. It doesn't get better than that. These professors are people who are directors in IBM, AT&T, big companies, Google. They are Harvard professors. They are directors on those boards. What an opportunity it was. Guess what? I finished presenting. I felt I'd done a good job. So they are announcing the results. They announced the third. They didn't call my name. They announced the second. They didn't call my name. I said, oh, so I must have been first. And they called the first, and my name was not called. I was disappointed. As we're leaving, my friend Ayo called me. He said, do you normally do presentations? I said, no. He said, so that's the problem. You had stuff in your presentation, but you did not deliver it properly. That was when my journey into soft skills started. I now knew that I needed to invest in soft skills, presentation, public speaking. So today I'm talking to you. In fact, I go around talking everywhere. I'm invited to speak everywhere. I told you I was speaking at an event 2 days ago in Berlin. There is no event that I speak that I come down stage and everybody wants to know me. Why? Because over time, I have deliberately invested in learning public speaking, invested in making presentations. So what am I saying to you? You have to deliberately invest in it. So what I found out, the Americans, they teach public speaking in secondary school. So even when they're talking nonsense, no substance in their presentation, by the time the guy comes on stage and talks, bamboozle you, you won't even want to believe him. Even when there's no substance in the presentation. So what am I saying to you? It's so important, that delivery. So important. All right? So at Construct Kaiser, we encountered a peculiar challenge during our recruitment process. We noticed that people come for interviews, they can't even look you in the eye. You want to shake their hand, they're bowing down their head like this. They can't look you in the eye. You ask them questions, they are too shy to even answer. I have some classmates who made first class in university, strong academic background, but they've lost their way because they don't know how to work in a team. Only give them computer, they sit in front of that computer. They can only work with computer, they can't work with other human beings. Working in a team is so important. Being a leader is so important. There are so many skills you need to pick to be able to be a leader. Be a good listener. There's so many things you need to do. Negotiation skills. You negotiate with your boss. You negotiate with your subordinates. Negotiation is a life skill because it's about human interaction. Negotiating with everybody you meet and getting the best outcomes for yourself. So these are skills that nobody teaches us in school, but we need them in our everyday life. Negotiation is not only about money. It's not only money that you negotiate. You negotiate many things in life. So this prompted us to ask that, why are these smart people who come to Construct Kaiser, why are they struggling despite their brilliant academic experience? It now became apparent to us that to succeed in the workplace, soft skills are even more important than your technical background. So we decided that we're going to be doing this, and in 2016 we started, and we found out that these skills are integral to professional growth, and they are the key to negotiating our growth in the organization. Because your degree can open the door for you, but soft skill is what's going to grow you in the business. It's going to grow you as a business owner. If you don't have the right soft skills, which client wants to give you a job? How do you sell your product? If you cannot deliver a speech or you cannot deliver a pitch, if you get into an elevator with Aliko Dangote today and you have 20 seconds from the first floor to the 8th floor, what are you going to do with that 20 seconds? How do you sell yourself to Aliko so that by the time he's coming out of the lift on the 8th floor, it tells you, see me, I would like to see you again? That's what we should be asking ourselves. So that is why we're doing what we're doing. So soft skills are the glue that binds knowledge to action. It's not just about what you know. It's about how you share, negotiate, collaborate. Whether you are leading a team, presenting ideas, negotiating conflicts. It might be a quarrel in your family between your sister and your brother, or your father and your mother. It's negotiation. It's all negotiation. So soft skills play a pivotal role in shaping your success. So today, as we begin the second day of this training, I want to encourage everyone to embrace the opportunity to refine their skills. This will make us effective leaders, effective communicators, effective collaborators, effective employees, and effective and successful business owners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, IG, for that charge. Please, I can see that you're all smiles. You're clapping.
And I'm clapping. I'm not seeing claps in the comments. People did you not feel that? Oh man, I'm blown away. Every time IG speaks, I'm always taking my notes and jotting down because it's one nugget after another. Thank you very much, IG, as usual. Thank you so much. All right.
So right about now, we will be introducing Mrs. Abiodun Mamora. She's the ED Finance for Kaiser Group, and she will be giving us a charge on the role of soft skills in building the right network. So, okay, yes, I can see Mrs. Abiodun Mamora. Good morning, Ma.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me clearly?
Good morning, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. Can I take it off?
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ako, and thank you so much, everyone that has taken our time to join us today in this eventful occasion, because every time we talk about soft skill, I'm always excited because people have kind of underplayed the importance of soft skill. So it's always exciting to have the opportunity to speak. And I like what IG has started with already. Thank you so much, IG, for that opening charge. It was really spot on. Can we give a round of applause to IG, please? Let's use the chat. Let's use the emojis. That was really a good charge. And it just set the tone for what we're going to be doing today. Yeah, I see the applause coming. Thank you, IG. You're always so inspiring, and we thank you for your leadership and the opportunity to also bring people together to learn from your wealth of experience. So today I'm going to be talking about something very dear to me. And I'm sure by the time I'm done, I'm sure all of you would have learned one thing or the other. So I'm supposed to address the role of soft skill in building the right network. Building the right network. How does soft skill help you to build the right network? I'm sure some of you are wondering, oh, does soft skill enable someone build network? Definitely, because from what Idea has even said, in soft skill, you learn about communication, you learn about, presentation. Those are some of the things that really draw people to you and help you to build network. You learn about negotiation. So it's actually what you really require to build network as you go on your professional journey. But before I start, I want to draw attention to what I've titled my triple E's. I don't know if there's anyone in this group that is familiar with my triple E's. Okay, so I'm going to let you know what they are. The first one is ethics, the second one is efficiency, and the third one is engagement. Those are the three pillars that I call my triple E's. Those three things have actually stood out for me all through my career, and they are things I fall back to every now and then. Thank you. Ethics, efficiency, and engagement. So you're wondering, ethics, I'm sure if you joined yesterday, you learned about ethics, you learned about integrity, you learned about honesty. And from the recap this morning, I'm sure you would have refreshed your memory also that it pays, it's a fixed deposit. And I like that analogy. So it's something that stands you out. It's something that's communicates what you stand for, and people can come to respect you for it. So let's talk about efficiency. What is efficiency? Efficiency is just about being consistent at looking for ways of improvement. So you're being deliberate at saying, okay, this thing can get better. And not just things, processes can get better. And even you yourself can get better. So you have a growth mindset and you're constantly pushing to outperform your last achievement. So that's something that has helped me a whole lot. And the third one is engagement. And looking at the topic before me, I'm like, okay, can anyone guess which one is, most related to this triple E? Which one resonates most? Anyone? Can anyone guess? Just put in the chat. Okay, I think someone let the cat out of the bag already. Okay, yes, not just someone. I see a lot. There's Victoria, there's Favor, and there's Quasim. Yes, a lot. Thank you so much. So you guys are paying rapt attention. So engagement actually resonates with the topic of building the right network. So what is engagement particularly? Is actually being likable, being deliberate about connecting with people, both people that look like you and people that don't look like you, breaking cultural barriers and connecting with people that could actually benefit from you or that you could impact. So it's a two-way thing. And engagement resonates most with this topic that I have before me today. So thank you for everybody that answered that correctly. Building the right network. So how do we build the right network? I want to bring this home and share my personal experiences so that you can actually go back with something tangible. And I'm sure it's not just enough for you to learn something. You also need to share it with a friend, and then share it with a brother or a sister, and share it with a colleague, so that you're not just retaining the knowledge that you've acquired in yourself, but you're also spreading the news. So for today, I'm going to emphasize on just one thing so that it's easy for us to grasp. And that one word that I believe has helped me as a person to build network, that skill, that soft skill is what I've coined. Well, it's a familiar word, so I'll just let it out. Consistency. That's what it is. Consistency. I'm sure somebody might wonder, is consistency a skill? Yes, of course it is. You need to check it out. And there are so many skills that we take for granted that we don't pay attention to, but in the real sense of it, they are very powerful. So how has consistency helped me to build network? Okay, I'm going to start on 2 dimensions. So there is one dimension of building consistency in your work, what you do, being consistent at what you do, being consistent at delivering on whatever had been committed to you. And then the second layer is actually being committed at building a brand. So let's look at the angle of the workplace. Being consistent at work, how has that helped me to build a right network? I remember very early in my career, when I was an account executive. So that's just about 2 years into my career. So I was still very young, and I was responsible for sending a daily report that goes to as far as the chairman of the organization. And I did that job, diligently and with consistency. So every day before close of work, I ensured that I sent that daily report before I shut down for the day. And I've done that over and over and over again. And guess what? I wasn't recognized for it. In fact, nobody even acknowledged that they received my email. But because it was a job that I needed to do, I kept at it. And something happened one day. I sent my report, as always, consistency, don't forget. And then I shut down my system to go home. Then I resumed the next day, like every other day. I had so many other things to do, so I didn't open my email. By the time I opened my email, it was past noon. And then I just got a response in my inbox. And the response was from the chairman of the company. And it says, "Is this your close of business?" Can somebody guess what happened? Can anyone guess? So apparently I sent the email the previous day, but it did not deliver. And it was when I opened my Outlook the next day, past noon, that the email went out. And the email still reads, the email read, "Find attached the report of today as at close of business." So when I got that, I was so confused. I was really confused. I'm like, the chairman just sent me an email and it says, "Is this your close of business?" Because that email was just delivered in the middle of the day, and it wasn't close of business. So I was fidgeting. So I went to my supervisor, like, "I just got an email. So he says that you have to go and see him and explain." I was just so confused, like, what am I going to say? So he helped me, and I typed a nice response to say, "I'm so sorry, I sent it last night, as always, but it didn't deliver." And that I was just apologizing because I was just messed up that day. Then the PA to the chairman called me to his office. And as I was going, I was still fidgeting. And when I got there, the chairman said, "Well, thank you for all the reports you've been sending all this while. I knew that must have been a mistake because it's very unlike you." I was like, wow. For the first time in many months, I did even get an acknowledgement, but this chairman was actually taking notes that there's someone there that sends this report and has not missed one day. So he actually just, congratulated me and told me to continue doing the good work. And that was how I built a network with the chairman of the company. And guess what happened some few months down the line? I was with this same chairman, and he was discussing with me the opportunity to head a department in that organization. So consistency actually built that network, and it also paved way for my career advancement. So you see how it works? But then it's not in any curriculum, in any of our, in any of our universities. Nobody's going to tell you have to be consistent at what you do. So that's why it's a soft skill. It's something you learn, you can learn, and then you can keep improving on as you proceed in life. So I'm going to share the second dimension of consistency, which I believe it's very relevant to this generation, because we are in a digital age and we have to build our brand digitally. So the second dimension of consistency is in building your brand as an individual. So how many of you have friends? Let's start from there. People that you meet, that you can call your friend, that you see face to face. Maybe they're just a few blocks away, that you call friend. And as you come back from work, you hang out, or maybe you go for parties together. Okay, yes, you have friends. All right. All right. So the next question, how many of you have virtual friends? So these are people that you've never met, but you're so close online. It could be on Instagram or on Facebook. And then every time you put out your picture, they're the first person to like it. And then they will comment and say, nice picture. How many of you have virtual friends? Okay, so let's take another question. Ratio, what is the ratio of your virtual friends to your physical friends? Like, can anyone just share, just in the chat room, which one is more, your virtual friends or your physical friends? Which one is more? So let's have an idea. Okay, Favor says more physical friends. Virtual friends is more. Okay, let's keep the comment coming. Which one is more? Virtual. Okay, no virtual friend, no physical friend. Wow, Gani, you're such you're such a person. Virtual, physical, more virtual, more physical friends. Okay, let's keep it going. I need to get more perspective in the chat room. Virtual, all right. So for me, I actually have more virtual friends than physical. So I need to build network virtually because I have more friends virtually. Do you understand where I'm going to now? Yeah, physical friends, perfect. But in this era of fuel subsidy removal, it's now a lot harder to commute and say, okay, we need to hang out today. So some of our physical friends are gradually turning to virtual friends, don't you think? Does anybody agree with me? That even some of our physical friends are now becoming virtual. So that's to say, the virtual world is now real. I remember those times that soft skill training started, it was actually physical in Unilag those times. But now see, we're virtual and we have people connect from all over the world. So that's the power of virtual. So if virtual is now becoming a lot more relevant in our today reality, then that means we have to learn skills. We have to learn how to build network virtually. And that is another angle where consistency would pave a way. So I'm going to share another example to drive home the point. So I have been investing in my virtual community, my virtual network for a while. And there was an incident that happened. I needed to pay a fee, a school fees, but it's in foreign currency. And I'd put in all the papers with the bank. And then they just kept telling me, yes, we're going to process it. We're going to process it. We're going to process it. At some point in time, I was getting fed up because there is a deadline for the school to receive the fees. And the bank just kept, we're working on it. So someone now told me that there's a long queue and that if you wait out this process, you might actually never get your transaction processed. So I needed to use my network. And guess what? Fortunately for me, I have the MD of the bank as my first connection on LinkedIn. So I just went and wrote him a very nice message. And the next day, people were calling me from the bank to say, your transaction is receiving express attention. You might not understand what that meant to me, but I was able to save about 6 million naira on just that one transaction, because I pulled the right string, because I had the right person in my network, because I've consistently built a brand online that people have come to respect. And that is what I'm challenging you all to begin to do. While you're being consistent at work, you also need to be consistent at building your brand, because there is a whole lot more opportunities that exist virtually. And for you to be able to tap into that network, you need to be strategic about your branding, about your profiles, about the things you post, and you need to be consistent at giving value so that people will come to respect you as someone that has value. On that note, I'm going to draw the curtain. Thank you so much for paying attention, and happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Madam Abiodun. That was a charge indeed. Everyone, young professionals, everyone alike needs to be intentional about building their personal brands. Thank you for that. And you truly exemplify consistency. I see your post on LinkedIn. I'm like, wow, how does she even make the time to do all this, man? In fact, I think just about 1 hour ago, you posted one too. Well done, ma. You're following your footsteps. Well done, ma. I'm not seeing the buzz in the comments. Please, if you not enjoy that chat by Madam Abiodun Mamora, good. You all are keeping it. Keep it coming in, please. Let's keep it coming in for her. So it's important to use soft skills to build our network. We want to be consistent. Don't forget the 3 E's, and be intentional about connecting with the right people online too. Nice. Thank you very much, ma'am. So it's now time to move to the next session. Our speaker is already here, and I'll be reading her profile shortly. We are going to learn interpersonal skills from someone who has truly exemplified that soft skill, the person of Enai Agodo. She's a mother to all, a mother at heart. I'll read her profile now. Enai Agodo graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Economics 1983 from the University of Lagos. She has a second degree in law from the University of Benin 1986. She attended the Nigerian Law School and was called to bar in 1987. She began her working career in Lagos State Ministry of Justice. She has worked in the banking sector for over 13 years. Banks like Intercontinental Bank, now called Access Bank, and Oceanic Bank, now called Ecobank. She's a true mother at heart, like I said earlier. After her retirement from banking, she followed her passion for children by studying early childhood education and setting up Emmanuel's Child Care Center, a preschool and after-school center, and she ran it by herself for 8 years. Currently, she's a principal consultant of A&E Emmanuel Nigeria Limited, a training and consultancy outfit, and its subsidiary, Emmanuel's Change Agents, through which she runs training programs for the youth. She runs Emmanuel Outreach, a program aimed at teaching the less privileged how to read and to develop a love for books in Oshodi local government area of Lagos State and in Badagry prison. She is on the board of trustees of various organizations, one of them being Verdi Foundation, an NGO that rehabilitates abused women. She's also an administrator of the closed Facebook group for women only called Broken But Not Shattered. Ladies and gentlemen, again, let's welcome Enai Agodo. All right, ma'am, over to you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ibuan. Okay, he's not here. He was here a minute ago.
Good morning, Enai. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Thank you for coming.
I was in your office briefly. I enjoyed your CEO seat.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Good morning. We're going to be talking about interpersonal skills this morning. Ifwan has already said, given a very good introduction to what I'm about to teach, and also Mrs. Mamora. Interpersonal skills. What are interpersonal skills? Is the way we relate to each other in the working environment, outside the working environment. How do we relate to each other? Sorry, 1 minute. Slide. Okay, so how do we relate to each other within the working environment and outside the working environment? It's a very key skill to have. A lot of time we think that all we really need are technical skills, especially people who are in the science-related jobs or skills. They feel that, well, all I just need to do is solve a problem. You know, I really don't need these people skills. But it is what contributes to 80% of your success in life, your people skills. I like the example that Ifwan gave about his presentation skills, how he had to begin to study presentation, public speaking. That was, he realized that it was important, as important, or if not even more important than his technical skills. Technical skills, your competence, but your people skills will take you higher. It will make you retain a job, and it will also help you to progress on the job. It will also help you to progress in life. Somebody told me a story. He came to me for counseling, and he said to me that he'd been sacked 3 times from 3 different jobs. Now that's a very high statistic. So I wanted to know what the problem was. He came to me as thinking that, well, maybe his problem was more spiritual than physical. But talking to him, I realized that he had a problem with interpersonal skills. Because you see, I listened to him for about an hour, and then I tried to ask him a few questions, but he didn't, he wasn't a listener. Let me put it that way. He wasn't a listener. He would jump in before you finish speaking. When you do that sort of thing, it gives the impression that you are not teachable. And so I saw where his problem was. I tried to talk to him, tried to advise him, but it was difficult. I hope that in life, sometimes experience is a better teacher than mentors and people, but that's a hard way to go. It's always better to be taught to listen and to learn before it's too late. People skills account for 80%, like I said, of your success in life. There are several things that make up your interpersonal skills, several components. How adaptable are you? When there's a conflict, how do you manage or resolve that conflict? What are your negotiation skills? How good are your negotiation skills? How clearly do you communicate? When you communicate, do people understand you? Do they want to listen to you? Are you clear? Are you concise in your communication? How persuasive are you? And then affirmation skills, your team building skills. Are you the kind of person who can work with a team, run with a team, and then also, or are you the sort of person who feels is my way or the highway? And then how self-aware are you? How emotionally intelligent are you? All those things come into play. They make up your interpersonal skills. What are the benefits? It helps in your personal relationships. Are you married? You need your interpersonal skills, even in your marriage. It helps deal with your friends, your family. It helps in professional relationships. It helps with your employment-related skills in the work environment. If you are a student, it also helps with your work in college, in your team. It helps within the team. And it also helps you to learn about other people's perspectives and to share workload as a team player. The main areas, first of all, communication. That's the bedrock of your interpersonal skills. You can't do anything without communication. No man is an island. So you must always be able to relate to people within the organization. I worked in the bank. I was always in marketing, but we had to relate with the people in the operations department. And then you go out, you market the products of your bank, and you tell them, you can open an account within this space of time. You want a loan, you get it approved within this space of time. You've already given certain targets to your external customer. And now you come you have to now come and relate with your internal customers to make sure that you deliver exactly as you promised. That takes the skill, because the man behind the desk wasn't there with you when you were marketing. And he has a lot of work. He's probably prioritized his work, and yours may just be at the bottom of the pile. How do you relate with that person to make him understand the urgency of your work without rubbing him up the wrong way? Your interpersonal skills come into play. Verbal communication. Communication is very important. What words do you use? How do you express yourself? But even more important is your non-verbal communication, your body language, the tone that you use. A lot of people the words don't account for much. You'll see that later. What really accounts for 80% of your communication is your body language. What are you saying with non-verbally to the person that you're talking to? Then your listening skills. This is a real area, that one has to really concentrate on and work on, because a lot of us are not good at listening. Negotiation skills, problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, and assertiveness. These are the 7 main areas that constitute your interpersonal skills. Let's talk communication. Communication is two-way. I once worked somewhere in a bank where the MD wasn't a very good communicator. And every time we had senior management meetings, the MD would drone on and on and on. And at the end of it, everybody would just clap. Nobody had anything. You dared not even contribute. But you see, there was a lack of creativity in that organization. You can't stay too long in that kind of place. It stifles creativity. So communication is very key. It's essential to develop in your interpersonal skills. You need it even as somebody who's in the technical field, because your clients will tell you what their specifications are. And if you cannot communicate properly, there might be a miscommunication. So you must be able to listen to what he wants and be able to give that person feedback and ensure that you are on the same page. When you are dealing with your contractors, when you are dealing with your tradesmen, it's very important. The way you deal with a tradesman is different from the way you deal with somebody who's a bit more educated. You have to come to their level. You have to speak their language. You have to get into their heads to understand how they think and relate to them on that level. And then you must be a pleasant person, likable, a likable person. I had a boss that everybody always avoided, not because he wasn't a likable person, because he didn't even let you get to see that he was likable, because the expression on his face was like thunder. And so when you saw him coming in this direction, you quickly took the next route as far away as possible from him. And at a point in time, he had to explain to us that this is just the way I look. It really has nothing to do with what I feel about you inside. But you see, that's a lot of explaining to do all your life. His body language was giving out the wrong signals. Very, very wrong signals. It was something that he needed to work on, So communication, very key. It's two-way. It's not a monologue. Like we have said, it's the key to success. It's the key to success. When you communicate, you speak. And then you listen actively. And then you interpret what you have heard. You respond. And that response is your feedback. You respond, and then you can get feedback to see whether both of you are on the same page, if you truly understand each other. That's the way, that is true communication. It's not, I might be speaking my language and you don't understand my language. I'm speaking, it's just words, it's physical, but I'm not communicating. The words we use constitute 7% of our total communication. The tone we use attributes to 13%. Our body language, a whole 80%. So you can see how important it is. Your gestures, your movements, your facial expressions, your posture, your tone. Your tone. Sometimes you hear people say, stop yelling, and you say, I'm not yelling. That's the way I talk. Grow up. That shouldn't be the way you talk. Because you cannot get the right response that way. People respond to you the way you speak to them, the way you communicate with them. There's the story of a priest who was talking to a young man, and the young man, he asked the question. He said, can I smoke while I pray? And the priest's answer was no. So the young man changed his question. He said, can I pray while I smoke? And the answer was yes. You get the response that from what you say determines the kind of response that you get. Communication, very, very, very important. Effective communication must be clear. It must be short, not verbose. Some people think that the more they speak, the more they are communicating, the better they are communicating. No. It must be clear. It must be short, concise, for clarity. And it must be correct, accurate. That's effective communication. There's the story of a butler. This man had hired this butler. The butler was an old man, and he didn't want to send him away. Actually, the butler had worked for his father, and he was reluctant to send him away, even though he knew that the butler was very old, not very smart anymore, very forgetful, you know. But he wanted to keep him on. He was a good butler. He was loyal, and it's not very easy to get loyal staff. One day, he wanted to send this butler on an errand. He wanted him to buy 1 cup of salt and 1 cup of flour. So he said to the butler, please go and buy 1 cup of salt and 1 cup of flour, and ensure that they don't mix. So the butler said it after him, he repeated it after him. I'm to buy 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of flour, and ensure that they do not mix. And as he was going, he kept on saying it. 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of flour, ensure that they do not mix. 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of flour, ensure that they do not mix. And he got to the seller, and he said to the seller, I want to buy 1 cup of salt and 1 cup of flour. And the seller said, fine. So he stretched out his tray, and the seller put 1 cup of salt on the tray for him. And then he said, yes, and 1 cup of flour. So the seller was about to put the cup of flour on the tray too. And he said, no. He remembered they must not mix. So he turned the tray upside down and told the seller to put the cup of flour on the tray. Then he went back home. 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of flour, and they must not mix. And when he got to his boss, the boss said, so, but where's the salt? And he turned the tray the right way up again. And so there was neither salt nor flour. What did we get from that? Keep your instructions simple. Keep your instructions very simple. Make sure that you give your team or the person you are speaking to the right resources and the right tools, and that you equip them. And also remember that that person might not be at the same level as you, might not have the same expertise as you have, the same knowledge as you have. And so you must be able to simplify the instructions in such a way that that person will be able to deliver the correct result. What could this, can you answer this question? What better way could this boss have given these instructions to get the right result? What could he have said? How could he have said it to ensure that he got the right result from this person that he knew was forgetful and wasn't so smart? Can I have your answers? What do you think he could have done? Excuse me. Okay.
All right. I think, okay, so Mogud is saying he could have written on a paper for the staff he sent out.
You could have written on a paper.
Written it on a paper. Ganiyu says told him to, okay, Olajide says he could have told him to buy it in separate containers. Ganiyu says buy a cup of flour and a cup of salt in different nylon or package.
Perfect. He could have written it down. He could have given him different containers. This container is for salt and this container is for flour. That way, that he would not have been confused and there would have been no mix. Very good. Keep your instructions simple. Keep them clear. Keep them short, concise, and correct. And always remember that the people that you are talking to might not have the same knowledge or the same expertise as you do. And so you need to simplify it for them. Listening skills. It's the ability to hear attentively and process this information, the information that you get correctly. It's paying attention, giving somebody your full attention, listening to everything that he's saying without thinking to yourself, without already preparing what you are going to say. You know, sometimes you are not really listening. You are already preparing your response. When you do that, you are not actively listening. And listening is a very, very key skill. It's such a key skill because it causes a lot of miscommunication. Like I said, hearing is physical, but listening involves responding. You must concentrate on what that other person is saying. And you must not only listen to the words, you must be able to listen to the underlying feelings. What that person, what is he feeling? And even so, it's so key. It's so key, but a lot of us don't have the skill. It's a skill that you must develop over time. You listen to understand. You don't listen to respond. You listen to help because you want to help. You listen because you want to give comfort. There's a reason why you are listening. And that's why you must be attentive. You must concentrate. You must hear what the other person is saying. What does it mean to attend? What does it mean to attend? To attend means that you focus on the person that you're speaking to. You make eye contact with that person. You don't interrupt that person. You focus on what they're saying. And at the end of the day, you paraphrase what they're saying or you summarize what they're saying and then you get feedback. And then your feedback could be constructive or destructive, but it's feedback. It makes you understand that either you are progressing with that conversation or you are maintaining a status quo or you're actually regressing. And how do you attend to somebody? When you're talking to the person, you make eye contact. Somebody said to me that a lot of the reasons why people don't get their visas when they go to the embassies is because our children are taught not to make eye contact. They are taught that it's disrespectful to look your elder eyeball to eyeball. So they look down or they look away. They're looking everywhere, but not at the person that they're speaking to. And so they're shifty-eyed. And when you are shifty-eyed, you're looking everywhere, it looks like you are hiding something. So it works against you. So when you are talking to somebody, you must concentrate. You must look at, you must engage. You must look at the person in the eye, you know. You must pay attention. And then you nod your head to show that you are listening. Your posture must not be closed. It must be relaxed. If your arms are folded, it gives the impression that you're on the defensive, or you are angry, or you are irritated, or if your arms are crossed and you are leaning back, it gives the impression that you're arrogant. So your body language is not right. So when you are attending to somebody, you lean forward a little bit, you make eye contact, you nod, to be relaxed, and you smile. Now that smiling is also something that you must know when to do and when not to do. Because clearly if somebody is angry and screaming at the top of his voice, that's not the time to be smiling, is it? If I'm angry and you're smiling, I would think that, what would you think? If you're angry, if somebody is screaming at you, at somebody else, and that other person is smiling, what will come to your mind? Can I have answers? What will come to your mind? Any answers?
All right. So Noah said, making jest of me. You feel making jest of me. Someone
Yes.
said you feel insane. Jonathan Morgan said uncaring attitude.
Yes, uncaring attitude. Person is crazy or is making a mockery of you. At the end of the day, you're not going to be able to resolve whatever it is you're talking about amicably because there's already that barrier to communication. So you must be conscious, even as you're attending, of your body language, the right body language. Okay, if you see that you're talking to somebody and the person looks confused, what do? You seek to clarify. You must clarify what the problem is. You must speak a little more, clarify. Ask them a few questions and then clarify the issues. And then if the person looks angry, what do? Seek to understand why the person is angry. When somebody is shouting and saying a lot of things, there's a kernel. There's something that is causing that anger. Listen for it and address it. Oh, sir, from what I see, this is what is upsetting you. We are sorry about that, sir. We'll do this and this and this and this to make sure that it doesn't occur again, to rectify it and to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So listen for the kernel, seek to understand, and then address it. And if you see that the person disagrees with you, then understand that somewhere along the line, you lost that person. So you need to retrace your steps to find out, where did I lose that person? And then ask for feedback and then give superior arguments or more information so that you ensure that you pull that person along, that person in your team is in tandem with you. Okay? Any questions?
None yet, ma'am. None yet.
Okay.
But after your sessions, we'll take the question and answer session. After
Yes,
your
and one part of active listening is to be able to take in, thank you very much, taking the whole message non-judgmentally. Non-judgmentally. That's a very important thing. You find that if you're non-judgmental, every time you're in your communication, people can tell you a lot more things. They feel freer to talk to you, you know. The single, George Bernard Shaw says the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Several times we think we've communicated. Well, we haven't communicated. Absolutely, we haven't communicated. That man who sent his butler on a message, 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of flour, thought he had communicated. Well, he had not communicated. Well, every time you're talking to your team, you must make sure, okay, that you properly communicate. IG, you want to say something? You can come in now. Hello, IG, your hand is up. Yes, thank you.
So when people put their hands in their pockets when they are speaking in public, does this signify ignorant arrogance, or does it signify that they're uncomfortable?
Putting your hands in their pockets is could be taken wrongly. It could be seen as arrogance. It could also be seen as disrespect, because you see, you must also understand the culture of the place that you are in. And so if you are in a place where you don't talk to your elders with your hand in your pocket, and you put your hands in your pocket, or automatically there's a barrier to that communication, because they will see you as arrogant. You may truly be uncomfortable. You may not be arrogant, but you must be aware of the way your body language will be interpreted, so that you avoid miscommunication. That's very, very key. So it could be both, but because you do not want to be misunderstood in certain circles, you must be conscious of the fact that it will be taken wrongly. So don't do that. I'm okay. Ikwan, are you okay with that? Is that clear?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. You could be speaking and speaking and speaking, and they do not understand what you're saying. I had a boss who would call a meeting at 6 in the evening, and we'll be there just closing time when it's time to go home. You've been working all day, and then he'll call a meeting at 6. And he will go on and on and on till 9 o'clock at night. There was a lady who was 8 months pregnant among us. It didn't matter to him. He wasn't sensitive to people's feelings. At a point, nobody would say a word. They just leave him to speak. He wasn't sensitive. He thought he was communicating, but at the end of the day, he wasn't. He lived on the island, and most of the staff lived on the mainland. And some people, by the time, it would take them 2 hours to get home, 3 hours to get home. So they'll be getting home close to midnight. And they were worried about their safety. So you have to understand the effect your words are having on people as you speak to them. If not, you'll think you are communicating, and you are really not communicating. I've talked about that if you're, let's go on about attending. Now let's go on to negotiation skills. That's another component of interpersonal skills, negotiation skills. There must always be conflict. Brothers, sisters, father, mother, there will always be conflict. Once there are more than one person in a place, conflict is inevitable. But like Max Lucado says, conflict is inevitable, but combat is not. You can choose to fight, or you can choose to ignore. Ronald Reagan says peace is the absence, it's not the absence of conflict, it's the ability to handle conflict with peaceful means. So there is conflict, but how do you handle the conflict? Your negotiation skills come into play. Negotiation skills require your interpersonal skills, a full range of interpersonal skills. It's your ability to discuss and reach an agreement in a professional manner, not in an aggressive manner, and not in a psychophantic, pleasing, yes sir manner. It's not ruling with an iron fist, my way or the highway. It's either my way or this whole place will burn down. That's not negotiation. There's the story of the rich man and his daughter. He wanted his daughter, he didn't really want his daughter to get married, but it was time for her to get married. And so he said, if you can tell me, if anybody who wants to marry my daughter has to come and tell me a story and make me say the words, it is a lie. And if I say the words, it is a lie, then you can marry my daughter. But if not, you can't marry my daughter. And so different men came and they told all kinds of stories trying to get him to say those words. It is a lie. But the man was mute. Then he was a very cunning man. Then this young man came and told him story. He talked about history. He said his great-grandfather had told him this story, and that story was the truth. That their community, where he came from, that this king's community, they had gone into a pact many years ago, and that the king's community was supposed to be paying them rent or something, paying them some amount of money every year, and they had failed to pay. And so the king was owing them this vast amount of money, owing his own kingdom, this vast amount of money. Now the king was in a dilemma. If he said it is a lie, he will have to give his daughter out to this man in marriage. And if he said no, if he kept quiet, then he would owe, it meant he was acquiescing that yes, they were really owing this other community and he would lose a lot of his money. So he chose the lesser of two evils. He said, it is a lie. The young man married his daughter. So in negotiation, don't offer what you cannot afford to lose. Don't. And never ever underestimate the person that you are dealing with. That's what this king did. He underestimated him. He underestimated this young man. Nigerians say, "Kon him and die, kon him and bury him." That's what happened in this case. Another thing is you must find the common ground. There's the story of this old man who died and left 17 camels. And he had 3 sons. And he said in his will, give my first son half of my camels. Give my second son 1/3 of my camels. Give my last son 1/9 of my camels. And the sons came together, 3 of them. Half of 17. Are we going to kill 1 camel? Are we going to divide the camel? 1/3 of 17, 1/9 of 17. What do we do? How do we share these camels in accordance with this will? So they went to meet a wise man. And the wise man looked at them, smiled, and gave them 1 of his camels. So they had 18 camels. And so he gave the first son half of 18. That was 9. And the second son, 1/3 of 18. That was 6. And the last son, 1/9 of 18. And that was how many? 2. Then he took back his camel. So in every negotiation, find the 18th camel. Find the common ground. You must go in believing that there is a solution. You must go in believing, not antagonizing the other person, not aggressive, not antagonizing, but believing that there is a solution, and you must find your 18th camel, your common ground. Know what you want in a negotiation and what you can live without. Do not offer what you can afford to lose. Before you go into negotiation, talk to your people. For instance, you might be negotiating for Kaiser, Construction Kaiser, or any other company. They might then tell you to go and talk to the other people that you have a problem with. What do you do? Before you go, understand, have a meeting with your team. Find out what is it that we can afford to live without. What can we give on? You need to move a bit. So what can we give? So before you go, know what you can live without. Decide on it before you go into that negotiation. Problem solving. Any questions on negotiation skills?
So earlier we had Jonathan Morgan raising his hand. Yes,
okay.
And so let's hear from him, and then I'll pick those on YouTube too, and we would answer those ones. So okay. Jonathan Morgan.
Jonathan Morgan, can we hear you, please?
Are you able to unmute yourself? Okay, let me take those on YouTube while we try to work on his audio.
Okay.
So for YouTube, we have Lawal Ridwan, who is asking, how best can we help a friend that listens to reply? And every time I try to tell him he's off track, He feels I don't listen to his own words. That's Lawal Ridwan.
Can you take it again? How?
Okay, ma'am. How best can we help a friend that listens to reply? And every time I try to tell him he's off track, he feels I don't listen to his own words.
If he's feeling that you don't listen to his own words, are you also cutting into him? Are both of you doing the same thing? That's one thing. When you're listening, actively listening to somebody, you need to concentrate. You need to truly focus on what that person is saying, and you need to understand his feelings, the feelings underlying his words. And then what I would ask you to do is, at the end of it, when he's finished speaking, summarize or paraphrase, use key things that he has said, and then give it back to him and ask him, have I gotten you right? You know, if I understand this is this and this and this and this is what you're saying to me, is that right? And if he doesn't think that you have heard him correctly, he will restate it again. Do you understand? So that way both of you will be able to get a clearer understanding of what you're saying. Look at his body language, listen to what try and get the feelings, what he's feeling, not just what he's saying, and then address that in your paraphrasing or summarizing. And then get feedback. Feedback is too important in such a situation. Get his feedback to know whether truly what you understand is what he has said to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan Morgan, can you unmute yourself now?
Thank you, Ma. It's a great class we're having, and this is one area that really touches me so much more because I see it all around. But Ma, I'd like to mention quickly, because we're looking at this from ground up. That means, and like IG mentioned when he gave the first the speech that he gave, he was talking about employees who would come up and to be employed and won't so much as look up at the interviewer or be able to say a word. They know what to say, but they're ashamed to say it, which shows that there's actually a massive gap for people, down below. But in my work experience, I've come to see that we see all of this with the instances that you gave also. It shows that somehow there's this gap too, somewhere at the hierarchy, at the top level also. Because for me, I would think that a boss or a leader or a team lead or something, a manager who display all of this attitude that you mentioned in the instances and that some of us have seen in the work environment, all these kind of people, their attitude and all of that shows that there's really actually a massive gap also that needs to be filled. So my question would be how to address this gap at leadership level. Now, I understand basically that most organizations will take their leaders before you step in from one level of management to another level of management. You probably would have, gone for some courses and all of that. And part of all of the things they would teach you is people's management, communication in the workplace, and all of that. And my kind of person is someone who likes to read. I like to prepare myself for the next level. And so all of this reading and everything helps to, position you for that next level and for all of the challenges that will come. But still today, in today's workplace, we still see these things. So what is the reason why at the top level you see a strong dearth of these interpersonal skills, and how can it be addressed at that top level? That'd be my question.
You see a strong depth of interpersonal skills at a top level. In other words, communication skills, all forms of interpersonal skills, negotiation skills, problem-solving skills, or is there a particular area that you are talking about? Is it just communication? They don't communicate well. or is it problem solving, decision making, negotiation? Can you be a bit more specific? Hello, Joshua. I want you to narrow it down a bit.
Jonathan, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay, Jonathan.
Maybe you're muted.
Oh,
Okay,
can you
let me
raise your
unmute him.
hand? Can you raise your hand so we'll unmute you from here, Jonathan Morgan?
Okay, I'm sorry that I was trying to unmute my mic, but it wasn't because I had to mute it as soon as I finished speaking.
No problem. Yeah.
Since it is open now, I think I can mention instances into people who are not actually from the Asian part and then the Middle East part that comes here to be bosses, to be managers over people and all of that. Especially most Nigerian companies would like to put a white person in there because they feel that he will be respected and all of that. And you see is that of interpersonal skill. Now, talking about Nigerian companies, because I've worked in a couple and then I've had these instances and these situations too. The boss, like the instance where you mentioned a boss who's not, who's keeping people, far beyond work time and not considerate. That's not majorly a communication issue. I've had a boss who will not only shout and, at the top of his voice, that people in other firms will hear that he's shouting at people. He goes to the point of calling names, and using. So that's essentially. It is also it's so much more than that. And then you see people and attitude that someone will just look at and say, this person is just plain wicked. You cannot explain those attitudes. So I'm sure a lot of people will understand what I'm saying. I mean, attitude problem, which is so much more than just communicating. Some of them will communicate very well and rightly also in the work environment, but their attitude add up to it we are discussing, because you mentioned that interpersonal skills about all of these areas, these 7 areas too. So, and communication is just one part of the whole. So I see this thing play out and I'm thinking, if we're trying to address it from ground up, which KSFB has done over these years, and I've been in a whole lot of these, every year I try to get in and I try to learn. So with each one that I get into, I learn something new and I try to apply it. So I'm believing that the hordes of people that are coming to these meetings and conferences are learning also and improving on their lives also. But if it doesn't come from the top down, that also.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan. I think you pretty much answered your question at the end of it. They say anointing flows from the head down. It has to be important to the people, the people at the top, and it really has to do a lot with the culture of the organization that you are in. I worked in banking many years, and it's very strong in banking, what you are talking about. Basically, it's interpersonal skills, really, but mostly communication. How do you communicate to your staff? How do you communicate to your subordinate? Do you shout? Do you abuse them? Those sort of things, your work ethics shouldn't happen in an organization, but it does happen. So what do we do about it? Well, I worked in an organization where we had junior and senior seminar. It wasn't just senior staff seminars that we had junior staff seminar separate. And the only people that were allowed at the junior staff seminar were the HR and the MD. And those junior staff seminars were where the MD could touch the pulse of the organization, because those people had nothing to lose, really. They were still junior staff. And so they told him the truth. They were able to express themselves and tell him what was going on in the organization. And we got there were a lot of changes after every junior staff seminar. Whereas at the senior staff seminar, most people would just praise and praise. Thank you, sir. You know, you are a man of timber and caliber, you know, that kind of thing. You get to hear all those sort of things. But at the junior staff seminar, he felt the pulse of the organization. So I would recommend that it's important for top management to touch the pulse of the entire organization, not just senior management, having meetings with senior management, but also having meetings with middle and junior management separately, you know, and also let them know you can change your work culture for the better, but it's something that they must discuss. It's something that not just they must train, but they must also have ways of getting feedback from staff that everything that they have trained, they are really imbibing it in the culture. That's important. IG, you want to say something? Your hand is up. IG?
Yes,
yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I just want to talk a bit about emotional intelligence, because I see a lot of people are speaking about how they are being treated at work, how bosses shout and everything. You see, emotional is very important. Emotional intelligence is a soft skill that people need to learn. You see, some people naturally, I've seen bosses slap subordinates in the office. I have seen it. And I've seen a subordinate even take the boss to court for physical abuse. Those bosses cannot control themselves. How you treat people is so important. And I can tell you, it's something that I've been blessed with. And I can say that has contributed 80% to my success today. How you treat people internally in your company, and even how you treat clients. There was a client, potential client, I went to meet. This was 2004 or 2003. As I shook his hand and we started a conversation, as we're leaving, my colleague asked me, it be like say you jazz the man. It was very funny. Somebody I'd never met before. Because the way I shook his hand, looked in his eye, had a nice conversation with him, and we got a very big job because of that. What am I saying? It is important you treat people right, both internally and externally. So people who have worked in this organization 15 years, 20 years. That is rare in Nigeria, seeing somebody stay in an organization for 15, 20 years. Why? Because of the way I treat people. How come clients give us job after job? Even though we have a difficult project, the client will still come back. Why? Because I treat them right. I'm concerned about how they feel. Even when they seem difficult, in quotes. So sometimes people say I'm stupid, I'm too tolerant. It's because I care about how people feel. I'm not the best engineer. I'm not the best entrepreneur. But the fact that I think I am blessed with knowing how to treat people, that is what has contributed to my success today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And another thing is, how does the organization handle these sort of infractions? How do they handle it? If somebody steps out of line so badly or is abusive to his subordinates, how do you handle it? If it is not handled, if it's something that is ignored, it will become the culture of the organization. It will become the culture. So it's also important to not just have your code of conduct. Every staff must know the code of conduct. You must have your ethics stated clearly in your code of conduct, that booklet, and make sure that staff read it and imbibe it. Because it also talks not just about how to relate to your internal customers, but also how to relate to your vendors, your external customers as well. Thank you very much. Are you okay on that? Somebody else was raising his hand before. I think
yes,
so something like that.
Yeah, he has dropped the question in the comments. His question is, how do we manage a boss that feels your opinion doesn't matter in any situation? If he tells you stand and you feel standing is okay, he will still insist, I want you to stand. So stand, your opinion doesn't matter.
How do you handle a boss who just minimizes your opinion or trivializes your opinion or just feels that your opinion doesn't matter? There's two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about it from the boss's point of view. When you are talking to your boss, understand also that the boss sees the whole picture. You see usually just your own desk, what it relates to. For instance, you could be talking to your MD and you are giving him a suggestion, and he's thinking about a whole lot of other things. Not that the suggestion is not important, but or that's not a good one, but he's also thinking about cost and so many other things. Do you understand? So you also have to be able to put that into perspective. In emotional intelligence, they say it's not just what is the meaning that you ascribe to what has been said or done to you that makes you react. The meaning. So when you say, oh, he doesn't value my suggestion, he just wants me to do whatever he's doing, be sure that it is not you who's ascribing the wrong meaning to it, first and foremost. So that's from the boss's point of view. From your own point of view, if that is really what is happening, how do you handle it? You need to be able to have a discussion with your boss. You need to be able to have not a discussion where you are attacking his person. You are always doing this, you are always doing that. But a discussion that lets him know how you feel and how you would like to be able to contribute more. Because both of you have the same goal. So that must be paramount in your mind, that your goal is the same. You both want to succeed on the job. So find a good time and have that discussion with him and use the sandwich method. The sandwich method is you first of all affirm the person. Let the person know what you have gained or how he has been, he has contributed positively to your work in that organization. You affirm, and then you bring your concerns out politely, and then you earn it again by affirming. That's the sandwich method. That way, that person is more likely to receive what you are about to say, what you want to say, because it might just be his leadership style. It might not really be that he's minimizing or trivializing you. It might just be that military leadership style that he has. But if you have that discussion with him, he will better be able to understand each other, and you'll be able to move forward. Your goal is the same. As his hand. We'll move on to problem solving after Asu, please. Sorry, what is Asu saying? Asu, can you come in? Can you unmute and let us listen to you? Asu Sejoro, yes.
Okay, yes, ma. Can you hear me, ma?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you very much, ma, for the presentation, and a big thanks to KSFD and IG for always bringing this up. I really appreciate. My quick question is, how will you address this? Like you made mention of the African culture and the setting we have. Most times I often find myself in a setting, maybe I'm working in a team, and I got onboarded by the team, and we're doing some bit of introduction, and they told me this is a particular person, like this is a person named like Victor, but me addressing the person, we are not of age mates, like literally our age are not the same, and most times I'm always like maybe the youngest on the team, and I don't find this convenience in calling like Victor. I would be like, okay, sir, or my Victor, and they keep on addressing me that I should just make it official and just call like Victor by name. And to me, it looks like the African culture, though it does not really sound respectful to me. So how will you try to address that, like in form of communication, man?
Okay, African culture. If you are working with a boss who is very traditional, who wants you to call him Mr. So and so, or sir, you do that. But if you are in a more Americanized or whatever environment, you do like the Romans. They've told you that you can call them by their name. So do that and get on with the job. The most important thing is the job. Is getting the job done. Do you understand? They don't mind. The fact that you are calling somebody by his name doesn't mean that you're disrespecting them. Disrespect is when you are insulting them or when your body language is disrespectful. Do you understand? It asks you to do something and then you take forever to get up and fold yourself from the seat and that kind of thing. That's disrespect too. So the fact that they've given you permission to call them by their first name. So go ahead. And if you are still uncomfortable, maybe you can do what I noticed they do in Kaiser. They say IG. That's a middle path. It's a middle way, you know, or you use the initials. Some people say Mr. T or Miss, but people find a way around it. So that find a way that is comfortable for you, but please don't allow that to affect your job. They've given you permission. If they hadn't given you permission, if you were in a very traditional environment where they say Mr. and you decide to say, hey, what's his name? Hey, Bassi, or something like that, then you will have a problem. So when you're in Rome, just do like the Romans do and do the job. Okay? Thank you, Asu. And we move on to problem solving now. There will always be problems in life and in every organization. There will always be problems. But there's a way that you can, whenever you have a problem, there are basic steps. You define what your problem is. And then you generate alternatives to the problem. You evaluate and you select your alternatives, and then you implement your solutions. Just those are the basic steps. Okay, I have 10 minutes. Basic steps for problem solving. And I will tell you a quick story. The story of a teacher who was teaching. She felt that, okay, teaching has always been too, let's simplify teaching, make it very simple. And she was doing very well. But then one day she was talking to this young boy and she said to him, John, if Mary gives you an apple and Mercy gives you an apple and Margaret gives you an apple, another apple, how many apples do you have? And John said, 3. John said 4. So she was confused. No, John. She said it over and over again, and he would always say 4. So she changed it. She brought out her bag of carrots and put a carrot on the table and said, if Mary gives you 1 carrot, Mercy gives you a carrot, Margaret gives you 1 carrot, how many carrots would you have? He said 3. She said, very good. So let's go back to the apples. Brought out her bag of apples and repeated the same thing, and he said 4. So she was puzzled. So she said, why do you keep saying 4 apples? He said, because I have 1 apple in my pocket. I brought an apple to school. So clearly he was right. He wasn't wrong. So when we are trying to solve a problem, don't always think that you know everything. It's not what, it might not be what you think that is the right thing, or how you don't always think that don't be a Mr. Know-it-all. Open up your mind. Look at things from a different perspective. When you do that, it limits miscommunication. And then always be ready to think out of the box. The answers are not always obvious. There's a man who was talking to his young daughter. The daughter kept on asking him questions and he wanted to concentrate on his work. So he just took a newspaper and tore it into bits and told her to go and fit it together. That's a jigsaw puzzle for her. And she came back in exactly 2 minutes. And he was shocked. How could she have put everything together so fast? He said, his daughter must be a genius. Then she turned the newspaper and told him at the back of the newspaper, there was the face of a woman. All she did was turn it backwards and then fit every pieces together according to the woman's face. So that job that he thought was so difficult for her, all she did was think out of the box. She was a bit more creative, and the answer was simple. So the answers are not always obvious. You must be creative. Now let's move on. I have just a few more minutes. Decision making. It's a key skill in the workplace. Very key skill. I had a boss who would pile and pile. He was the second in command. And once the first in command, the CEO was out, work stopped to that office. He would pile and pile and pile and pile things on his desk. He didn't want to append his signature to anything. He was a very indecisive person, a dither, you know, and you cannot afford that. If as a leader, to be effective, you cannot afford to be that kind of person. If you want to be able to negotiate too, you must be able to act decisively, you know. So I will ask you a simple question. There are 3 frogs on a log. And one frog has said to the other frogs, let's jump into the lake. How many frogs will remain on the log? How many frogs are there still on the log? 3 frogs on the log. I'm throwing this question to you. There are 3 frogs on the log, and one made a decision and said, let us all jump into the water. How many frogs will be left on the log? Okay, Excel, how many frogs will be left on the log? Are you on mute?
Okay, so I see that Eval's hand is off.
Okay.
Eval, can you speak? Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, Eval, yes, not Excel.
Since one of the frogs already made a decision, so we have 2 frogs left because they are yet to decide to agree or not.
Okay, any other person? Thank you, Eval. Any other person? Okay, let's go on because of time. There were 3 frogs on the log, and one made a decision to jump in. And I asked you how many are there on the log. There are 3 frogs on the log. Do you know why? Taking a decision, saying I'm going to do this is not taking action. There's a difference. When you make a decision, an action must follow that decision. So just saying it doesn't mean that you have decided. You must take action, you know. And when you don't make a decision, for instance, you are still making a decision. There was an elderly man who wanted to write his will, and he had gone through so many lawyers. And eventually he talked to me about it. He couldn't make up his mind who to give what to in the family. His only son was abroad and had lived abroad and had his children, were now a grandfather abroad, never likely to come back to Nigeria. Yet he had a lot of assets here in Nigeria. So he was a bit undecisive about how to allocate his property. And I said to him, sir, you either write the will, because or you don't. But even if you don't write a will, your property will still be allocated after your demise. So you're not taking a decision and not being a different, not wanting to know who to give what to all these years. At the time you die, they will say he died intestate. And so they will apply native law and culture to dividing your properties. So whether or not you made a will, your property will still be allocated to different members of your family. Do you understand it? So you're not making a decision, there's still a decision being made. Life, there's no vacuum. So there will still be a decision being made. Okay? It may be necessary during when you are negotiating to come to a compromise quickly to end the stalemate. And when I was talking about negotiation skills, I forgot to mention that sometimes when you are negotiating, you might need to postpone the negotiation. If you find that you're not making any headway, go back, meet with your team, talk a little more, and then come back and tidy everything up. Sometimes you need to take a break from it. Even in your personal lives, you see that the conflict is escalating, you might need to pause, take a break, and then come back to it again. Okay, conflict resolution. What does it mean? It means that you stand for somebody's rights or your own rights, but in a positive way, not in an aggressive way, and not in a passive way, not just passively accepting wrong, you know. You agree to disagree. It is okay to agree to disagree. You can have a different point of view. It doesn't make you wrong or the other person right. You seek to understand. That's how you resolve a conflict. It's not I'm right, you must be wrong. You don't talk right and wrong. Seek to understand each other's view, you know, and stay calm, breathe normally, look the other person in the eye. Your demeanor, your voice, everything must be relaxed and normal. Finally, assertiveness. This is the last component, key component of interpersonal skills, assertiveness. What does it mean to be assertive? Does it mean being aggressive? What does it mean to be assertive? Does it mean to be a people pleaser? What does it really mean? There's a guy who bought a dog, but that dog was a very angry dog and was just biting everybody. Angry, really angry dog. He couldn't have a guest.
I think it's a network glitch. It's just from my end. But in the meantime, Eva, you're nodding your head. Can you hear her clearly, or it's just from my end? You can't hear her clearly. Okay then. So it's a network glitch. While we're working on that, just a brief reminder that for those of us that are not yet to use the hashtags on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and everywhere, Twitter, let's start sharing what we've learned in this session on social media. I see Emmanuel Ayola, Habib Hamzat, Oluwaseun Joseph, and Pardon Benga sharing my LinkedIn posts. Thank you very much for doing that. We want to see more of that. So let's keep sharing all we're learning here and letting our friends know that this is going on worldwide. And Madam, no, you are muted. Can you please unmute yourself, Madam Enai?
Thank you, everybody. Sorry about that. It was a little glitch in the network. So we're talking assertiveness. I don't know where I lost you, but I'll just start from the beginning of assertiveness. That assertiveness doesn't mean that you are aggressive, you're harsh, or you're hard, you know. And it also doesn't mean that you are a sycophant, a people pleaser. That's not it. You know, it just means that you're firm, you're professional, you know, you are calm, you are clear, and you are honest in putting across your views. In being assertive, it's very important not to attack people's personalities. You see, when you say you are always coming late, you are always doing this, you are attacking that person's personality. You're not going to get a good response. And so, for instance, like what he said, you want to talk to your boss. Don't tell your boss that you're always demeaning or not listening to what I say and trivializing my opinions or just not ignoring what I have to say. That's not the way to approach it. You talk to him about how you feel. You know, you don't attack his personality, but you go to the root of the problem and talk to him about how you're feeling. You know, you must also see the other person as your, sorry. Can you see, is it okay? Hello, can you hear me? Sorry, it seems I've gone off again.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Can hear me.
We're not seeing your screen.
You're not seeing my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so you see the other person as a friend and not your enemy. Every time you have a conflict, see the other person as your friend, or you are trying to resolve a problem, see the other person as your friend and not your enemy. See yourself as having the same goals, you know. So I was talking to you about the person who had 2 dogs. who bought the first dog, and the first dog was very angry, and he thought to himself, no, that won't help me. It's pushing away people from me. So let me get a lovely, delightful ball of fluff. And he got this lovely dog, very pretty dog. But this dog was so playful that when armed robbers came to his house, he didn't do anything, and they robbed him. And he thought to himself, that's not the answer, because you see, being nice and polite may not always be the way, because not everybody has your best interest at heart. So you must, it's not by being angry, and it's also not by being a people pleaser, you know. You must always listen actively and be patient. Pay attention to your body language as you are communicating, and assertiveness, interpersonal skills, your communication, negotiation skills is something you must always practice. You cannot microwave it. It's not something that you get overnight. It's something that you work on and you keep practicing. And so now let's wrap up with a case study. Case study. Everybody is going to answer this question. Kwalia is very hardworking and devoted to his work. He puts in a lot of effort to ensure that all his deliverables are met. However, his biggest problem is getting his upline to sign off on documents presented to him. This is a problem, as it is the policy of the organization that his upline must sign off on all deliverables. On several occasions, Kwalia has been labeled incompetent because he failed to meet up with the expectations of the board, which has caused him to feel very frustrated. Consequently, he decided to have a talk with his upline in order to find out why he always delayed signing off on his deliverables. His upline's response was, I have a lot on my plate, which is taking a lot of my time at the moment, but don't worry, I will always make time to review your work. After that meeting, nothing has changed. On the other hand, the delays are even longer. If you were Kwalia, what would you do? If you were Kwalia, what would you do? Can I have answers? Taking in everything that we've talked about today, how would you handle it? Jonathan Morgan wants to speak. Can you unmute, please? Would like to hear you.
Okay. I'm just assuming that this is my own workplace. And I probably would have known why this will be happening. And he has given a valid reason to his work. He has a lot of work on his table and all of that. So basically for me, my own kind of person, I'll just find out what he likes, what strikes him very well. And I will just do that. I'll have another conversation around it first, and probably just buy him lunch, have it delivered to him on his table, and write a small note to say, thank you for all you're doing. I see a lot of work, but if we close at 4:30, if you just give me 2 minutes, 4:30 to 4:32, I'll just show you this paper, you sign off, and I think that will just help.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Okay, so can I ask you the reason why will you take that approach? Why? I would like you to, anybody who contributes, to give me their approach and then give us the reason why. Jonathan.
Could you raise your hand so we'd let you unmute from over here, Mr. Jonathan Morgan? Oh, I think we lost him. Oh.
Okay,
he's not.
sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, there's a problem. Maybe there's a gap in it. There's a problem that I have identified. So I have also looked at what the solution might be. If I'm able to reach out to him and get him to like me, which is part of communication also, make myself likable to him, I probably might just be able to get his attention each time I go to him with my paper.
Okay, so you feel that the issue might be that your likability. So you are working, your method basically is to increase likability. Okay?
Yes, people relate to us quickly if they like us.
Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Now there's Emmanuel also raising his hand. Emmanuel, can you unmute, please? After Emmanuel, Oreofe, and then Hamdallah. Okay?
Okay,
Emmanuel, can we hear what you have to say? Please tell us what approach you will take and your reason for that approach.
Yes, the approach, since he already said he has a lot on his plate, I could just give him a suggestion, like, why not delegate some of his tasks? Because he might be having challenges prioritizing some of the things he needs to do, probably with issues at home, so many things on him, stress and everything. So then, after that, I would also speak with one of the people in the middle or top management level. I will also seek their suggestion on what approach they think would also be best that I can always use to handle him.
Okay, you would speak to top management. Huh?
Yes, like maybe my direct supervisor, someone like my direct supervisor, or someone I can always talk to in the organization.
Okay. 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 So I get you. Emmanuel, your suggestion is that you would suggest to him that he should delegate. And then you also speak to people who can advise you on how to go about it. Why are you using this approach?
Well, why I'm using the approach is because those who are in, probably maybe I'm a newbie. That's just a suggestion though. Those who are in the organization ahead of me would have known his work ethics and his work style. Then also, just like I said earlier, it might be dealing with issues, prioritizing or delegating tasks, because there are people like that who don't want to delegate. They just want to do everything, and thereby they pile up a lot of things they need to do and delaying the work that needs to be done.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. I'll come to everybody's contributions later. Oriofe, can you unmute and let's have your own contribution. Hello? Oriofe? Hello? Yes, please. We're ready for you. Okay, if can we have Hamdallah, please? Hamdallah, please, can we have your contribution?
Okay, good morning. Thanks for the
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, Hamdallah. I think Oriofe
Can
is
you hear
on
me?
now. Let's listen to Oriofe first. Sorry about that. Hamdallah, please hold on. Okay, Oriofe, we're ready for you now.
Thank you very much, ma. I must first appreciate you for this interesting section. Yeah, for my own, what I will do is to speak with him and to tell him, to suggest to him that he should delegate some of the tasks he has at hand that I will be able to handle for him, because I believe not all the tasks that he will have at hand will be. I believe that he will not be. He doesn't have to be the one to handle all the tasks that he has at hand. So I should be able to help him out on some of the little tasks. So I would just suggest to him, if he could delegate some of them to me, let me help him on that while he is attending to my own files. So that's what I would do. It's just like finding a common ground, like a negotiation. Yes, that's what I would
Thank
do.
you, Oriofe. God bless you. Quickly, Hamdallah, because our time is up. We'll just round up now.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Thanks so much for your time so far. Okay, for me, what I'll do is, first thing is I already noticed that there's a problem. For him not to quickly sign my documents. Okay, so instead of me now having issues of trying to cause a conflict between the both of us, I'll need him and see what I'll need to meet him and understand what is really sign my document, the time that he's supposed to sign. So going to meet him is trying to understand what is going on, trying to be his friend, so he will be able to tell me exactly what is going on and the reason why he has been a letter to sign it. So trying to be his friend, I'll have to call him. So you'll be able to tell me what are the issues. By then, I'll not suggest to him, okay, what do you think to do? I can make you to, because as it is now, if I'm talking for my own self, for him to only sign my own document, if he's signing my own document affecting others, since it's not just my only document that is going to be on his own table. So I have to meet him and talk to him, okay, what can you do? What time did the document close? So just friends, so you can talk to me. They will now know, okay. If
Hamdallah, we need to round up. Thank you. Thank you, Hamdallah. Thank you, Hamdallah. Thank you. Can you hear me? Hello. Thank you, Hamdallah. We need to round up. The session is almost over. Thank you so much. From what I see, Jonathan wanted to give him a meal and ask for an appointment to see him to improve his likability. Emmanuel suggested that he delegates some of the work and then goes to, and also seek advice from his colleagues or superiors on how to handle this issue. Oriofe says I will take off some tasks off him. Hamdallah says I will go to meet him to make friends with him and also ask what she can do for him. Now, when you are dealing with in a situation like this, you must understand that what you are trying to do is to ensure that you are not looked upon as incompetent because he's not signing up on your work, and to the board, as far as the board is concerned, you are not delivering on your deliverables, you know? So that's what he's trying to, Qualia needs to avoid. That's what Qualia wants, that's the problem, that's the issue, that's the core problem for Qualia. But he must also be able to do that without antagonizing his boss. So his competence is being questioned, but he must be able to rectify that without antagonizing his boss. How do you do that? I like Jonathan was using emotional intelligence, being a bit emotionally intelligent by sending him a meal and trying to improve his likability. Emmanuel suggesting that he delegates would only anger that man, because he's already explained to you why he's not signing up on it. And then you are now suggesting that he delegates like he doesn't know what he's doing. You're not likely to be able to resolve that problem very easily. Oriofe, take some tasks off him. Yes, you can suggest that you take some tasks off him, but are those things really, will they impact on your own performance? And then I go to meet him to make friends with him and ask him what you can do for him. That's really basically what Oriofe too was saying. So yeah, they all have merits, but I would suggest that you deal with it, you handle it professionally. You've already gone to speak with him and still it hasn't changed. It's a simple way of doing it. Every time you send your work to him, you timestamp it so that it is there. Once he sees that it is timestamped, he will be put on notice, because then it clearly shows that it left your desk at this point, this time, and it has been on his desk for so and so number of days. So without saying anything, you have solved that problem. You have removed it from it, so you're not you being incompetent. Another thing is to copy somebody else who's senior to him. Send CC that person. So that's a professional way of handling that. So the people with whom, last slide, the people, thank you very much for all the contributions, all the same. The people with whom you work reflect your own attitude. Always remember that. If you are suspicious, unfriendly, and condescending, you'll find these unlovely traits echoed all about you. But if you are your best behavior, you will bring out the best in the persons with whom you are going to spend most of your working hours. Beatrice Vincent. If you had any problem at home, drop it at the door of the office and come in with your A game. Come in pleasant, come in ready to work, come in a team player, come in communicating properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Enai. Thank you so much. That was very insightful. So many contributions. This has been a very interactive session. We've had a lot of people, even on YouTube, Kamoli and Lawal. We see you. Thank you so much for all the contributions. So right about now, we need to move on quickly. Up next, we have a very interesting panel discussion. We have two amazing speakers, Adebulu Mayowa and Mr. David Babatunde Bangboye. So I'll quickly introduce Mr. Babatunde Bangboye. Mr. Babatunde Bangboye has 2 decades of enabling organizations capture stakeholder expectations and turning them into employee action. This he does by employing best practices in driving organizational transformation. He has led learning interventions and organization transformation initiatives in and out of the country for a number of leading brands. He's a chartered member of CIPM, NITAD, IDAN, and NIM. He has a BSc in biochemistry from Olabisi Onabanjo University, which is formerly Ogun State University, and a master's degree from University of Manchester. Mr. Babatunde Bangboye is the CEO of DBDC, a leadership development company. It's an honor to have you, Mr. Bangboye. You're welcome. I see you. I see you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Ako. And I'll be reading the profile of the second speaker, the second panelist for this very engaging session, Adebulu Mayowa. He is a graduate of civil engineering from the University of Lagos. With just 4 years of experience in the Lagos real estate industry, Mayowa Adebulu has directly contributed to the creation of over 1.5 billion naira in value. 1.5 billion naira. Starting out as a real estate agent, then a developer, Mayowa, through his first company, AM Realty, has transformed underutilized properties in prime areas of Lagos into robust revenue-generating facilities that continue to deliver steady monthly income to its myriads of clients. In a bid to create more value, Mayowa has co-founded Asset House, an asset management and investment company that seeks to share the face of real estate in Africa, that seeks to change the face of real estate in Africa through capital allocation, strategic mergers and acquisitions, and the infusion of technology. I must say I have a lot in common with Mayowa today, and I'm looking forward to the very engaging sessions. The topic of today's presentation, today's panel session, is the use of soft skills for career growth. So if we are in the audience and we are ready, let's keep dropping in emojis to show that we are ready for this session as we are about to pick the brains of these very 2 expert speakers here in-house. All right, so I'll be asking Mayowa the first question. Mayowa, thank you very much. Can I see you? I'm not seeing you yet. Is he here? Okay.
Morning.
Okay, great. I needed to confirm that you're here. Good day, sir. We're even wearing glasses, sir, so we have a lot in common, true. Okay, so the first question, sir, is You participated in soft skills training during your final year in school, and today you are the managing director of AM Realty and the CEO of Access House. Can you please tell us what guiding principles you have applied in your career to get to this level today?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Peace, if I'm right.
Yes.
You can come back. I'm quite emotional right now because I was once a beneficiary, so I wouldn't think about sharing my story just 4.5 years after the training KFST. And first of all, I would want to tell everyone here that's joined us today that this program 4 years ago transformed my entire life. It changed my entire reasoning. It set a new standard to how I approached life in general. So I plan today to summarize because 15 minutes would never be enough to tell the story. I was in my 400 level in the University of Lagos when I heard about KFST, as at that time, it was a physical training at the Department of Building. I attended the training, and all of the things that you guys are learning, I mean, interpersonal skill, public speaking, negotiation. I was very timid. I was this very smart guy, but I didn't really know how to express myself. And one thing that really helped me was I was very practical. Immediately after the training, I started to put all of these things in practice, and I'll give you the entire summary. So after the training, I never would have imagined campaigning or running for a position in my faculty then. I was in Department of Civil Engineering. So immediately I took up the form to contest for the position of engineering presidency immediately after I left KFST, because I felt like I was equipped. I led leadership, public speaking, critical thinking, negotiation, and teamwork. I mean, campaigning for the role of president was the first challenge for me to put all of the things I've learned in practice. And to be very honest with you, I would have won that election. I mean, what's the word? You know, when you're winning it blue-black, like I was so sure. But 2 days to the election, I got disqualified because then UNILAG brought up a law that if you had attended another institution before, you would not be eligible because the past administrations had unionism experiences in different schools, and it caused a lot of havoc. So they disqualified me 2-3 days to the election, and this was done by the person I was running this campaign with, my opponents. No one knew I went to Yaba Tech because I did not get into UNILAG through direct entry. So the school doesn't even have the record that I've gone to Yaba Tech. But after the entire election, I remember one of the things that was said in the leadership training was that you can be a leader without title. So you can lead, you can do all the things you said without having to be called the president of the faculty. That was one key thing I took out. And when I was thinking of, oh, you know what, just let it slide, I'll just do other things and forget about all the things I plan to do. After all, I got disqualified, but that thing just, baked into my head. And I went to meet the person that, supposedly disqualified me. I said, you know what? These were the things I planned to do. And if you'd make me the chairman of a separate committee that I would create, I don't need your support. I don't need the faculty's support. I would go all out to raise funds for, this initiative that I plan to do. And he said, okay, no problem. We had an agreement and I started the program. The program today, I think they are running the 5th edition in the University of Lagos. It's called the Engineering Career Expo. When I ran that program for an entire year, in fact, it was putting into practice everything. I raised about 7 million naira for the Faculty of Engineering. That has to be the highest that has ever, been raised by a single societal body that is not the official engineering society. And that firsthand made me understand that, okay, if you have an ingenuine value and you know how to apply soft skills, the sky is the limit. It's the starting point. Let me pinpoint it again. Critical thinking is understanding what value you're willing to offer. Are you sure you have that value? Do you have that skill? If you don't have that skill, you have someone you can partner with. That's teamwork. So I'm trying to break all of the things I learned. So even if you think you have this idea, but you can't really execute, do you have someone you can partner with to execute? That's teamwork. Do you have what it takes to add value? So I asked myself, I was able to raise this amount of money because the association then had a value. And with the soft skills I had, I was able to project that value through effective communication. I mean, of course, public speaking, because at some point I had to talk in front of different board of directors, MTN, Google. But let me tell you, I got sponsorship from MTN, Google, UAC Foods, Nescafe, about 10 multinational firms. So firsthand, I knew that when you have value and you know what you're doing and you can project that value, the sky is the starting point. So after I left, after the program, I told myself I was going to take my time to think of the value. And that's the first step, critical thinking. What is happening in the real estate space and how can you do things differently? It takes time. Even as at that time, I couldn't figure it out myself. So the only way to do that was to work for a firm. Like I worked for Landway, I was a realtor for different real estate companies. And for 2 years, firsthand, I understood the value. I understood the problem and the kind of value I could create to set myself apart. 2 years was enough for me to realize that. Then the next thing was, I am a civil engineer. I'm operating in the real estate space. Of course, understanding how to design and supervise construction projects was very critical. So I took another 7 months to intern with an engineering company where I worked on a 7-story building at Bonny Camp. So firsthand, I supervised the piling project from start, to finish. And I told myself, now I can go in front of anyone and beat anyone, because I felt like, as my engineering background, I had a unique selling point. I had an edge. If someone who happened to be a lawyer wants to compete with me, getting money out from a financier, and I know everything he knows, all the knowledge, all the information, and with the additional information that I am a civil engineer and I've done this, I've done that, I felt like I would have an edge. So I went all out. I had my value proposition written. I practiced. At some point, let me tell you something, you would face a lot of rejections. I faced a lot of rejections, and those rejections kept on making me to refine the value proposition. And, if I tell you how I got the first deal, you would understand that without soft skill, even your ingenuine knowledge about any value you're about to offer might just wash away. Now, I'll just summarize in 2 minutes how I got that deal. I was talking to the person I was interning with then. He was an engineer, and he talked about a very smart architect, who can design 8-story buildings. I mean, very contemporary designs without having to charge more than 50,000 naira. So I was shocked. I mean, how would someone do, it was the final year in Yaba Tech, very smart guy. And I said, oh, can I get his contact? He said, no. This guy, I knew him directly. So if you want anything, just go through me, then I will help you tell the guy. I said, no, I would want to talk to him directly. I mean, he said no. But the mistake he made was he called the guy's name. And he told me the class the guy was in Yaba Tech. So I went all the way. I didn't have a car. I went all the way from Ajah. I was living in Ajah. Took a bus down to Yaba Tech. I got the guy's number. And I told him, let's work together. You know how to design at a very cheap rate. You have probably been undervalued all this while, but I have clients that can pay much more than what you have been earning, and we can work together. And he said, okay, no problem. In the space of 3-4 months working with the guy, I was able to advertise his designs. I got some jobs, paid him more money, and he became even more loyal to me. I mean, that's interpersonal skill, negotiation, and teamwork, right? Now, after I did that, in just 3 months, this guy told me, Mayowa, there was a project I was building at Ilukwejo. I mean, it has gotten to the roof stage and the client doesn't have money to complete. I know you're a business guy. Is there anything you can do for him? I was like, really? Okay, where's the guy? Give me the guy's number. Let me go and meet the guy. When I met the guy, because I had worked with Landway and understood the real estate space, I was able to draft out a proposal to tell him that, you know what, this is your own competent project. You can do this. You can lease it to me for a certain period of time. I have investors that are willing to take up this unit you built like 12 units. I have investors that can take up these 12 units, but you lease it to me, then I sublease it to them. So I come in as a firm, right? You lease the entire building to me, I sell it, use the sales proceedings to fund the project, and we turn the building to a cash flow project. And he said yes. Now, let me say something. When I started this business, or when I started as a realtor and as an agent, we were several other people, we were 15, 20 people doing that same thing. But I've been able to set myself apart because of the information that I was able to gather from this KFSD. To be honest with you, I wouldn't do anything differently if I am not, if I don't understand the components of the combination of both technical skill and soft skills. Some people are so ingenuine, but because they lack soft skills, they don't really know when opportunities are around the table. They're not self-aware. They don't really understand. And like I always say, the components of success are 1 million, 1 trillion informations combined together. So there are informations that you keep, imagine yourself little by little. All my Instagram followers and people I'm following on Twitter are all finance, real estate. It has to do with what I do. Like I'm very, very concentric on what I do. So I immerse myself in everything I love to do. So I really don't have any social life outside what I do. So almost all the information I consume has to do with the technical skill and the soft skill. To cut the old story short, we were able to sign that deal off the table. It was a 140 million naira deal. We sold everything in 4 months. With that result, we were able to project to investors, and we got funding in billions of naira. And I reached out to Engineer IG myself on LinkedIn. I reached out to him myself. I said, sir, for every time I negotiate with anybody, the first person that comes to my head is the Bakmatora. And this was a video you played when you were teaching us negotiation. And funny how, I remember when IG was teaching us negotiation, he was saying it there that you probably wouldn't really understand everything now, but the more you go through it, the more you understand, you would not know yourself. When you start to talk to people, these things will just start to come out. And when you're done, you would ask yourself, how did I think of this? So it keeps piling up in your subconscious. I'm telling you, you would not know. Because even till today, none of my investors or my financiers know my age. Like they are amazed. Like how the hell did you say this at the right time? I mean, this is because I've been immersed in this knowledge for so many years after KFSD. And it was KFSD that really opened that horizon, that made me really understand that, okay, these are the possibilities. When you have value, yes, you have the skill. Sorry for a second. So I don't know if you can hear me. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Yes, you are audible.
All right. So you might have the skill, you might know your onions, but it takes a lot to be able to project that onions out. So in my own opinion, if I would rate how my success story has been, I would say it has been 30% technical skill, 70% soft skills. Just about two months ago, we opened an asset management company because we felt like we're doing amazing returns for our investors. We're paying about 10 million naira per month, and we wanted to create a proper structure. I didn't study finance, but I reached out to a friend that was working in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I reached out to people that were working in tax and audit firms. I formed a board of directors. Appointed. Created a corporate structure. Released my shares to someone that I felt could have much more value in the asset management space, because I knew for a fact that going into private equity asset management requires much more than my skill, both technical and soft skills. I needed someone more finance centric, and I needed someone that was obsessed with it. I'm actually very obsessed with sales, marketing, strategy. I needed someone obsessed with finance. And I put up my shares, gave it to him, and now we're forming partnerships. And I can tell you that partnership has transformed the entire business model. We have looked more appealing to investors, and we're on the verge of even acquiring, different prop tech companies and scaling in different parts of Lagos. So I would summarize because I know we don't have much time. I'll summarize by saying the components of success sometimes can be very sophisticated. But if you listen to conferences, even hundreds, 150 times a year, I feel like you need to put it in practice. As you're living here, you need to start practicing it. When I was in KFSD, I could not stand in front of people to talk. IG ensured that we came out. Like I volunteered. I said I was going to, represent my group. Even if I knew I didn't really have the skill, I came out. The first 5-10 seconds, I was fidgeting. My heartbeat was so high. But over time, I kept on coming out. And it helped me. So you have to face your fear. You have to come out of your comfort zone. You have to be very true to yourself. And it takes someone very ingenuine, first of all, to understand that now you have some value to put out to the table. And like I always say, not everyone can be the Messis and the Ronaldos. Some people some people's strength is to work with people and had so much value. When I was working with that engineer, I was earning 60,000 naira a month. I was with him for 2 months. I could barely feed myself after transportation, but I knew I was seeing the bigger picture. I was seeing it. I knew that there was something coming out of whatever I was doing. I knew I was getting value. It's only when I'm not getting value that I start to look at, I'm losing on both sides. No money, no value. But as long as you're getting value for whatever you're doing, whether it's 35 or 40 or whatever age you can break out and do something valuable, there's still time. Please, I just want every one of you to please think about all of the things that I took permission from, just to tell you how important the slides were. I still have the slides on my laptop. The negotiation, public speaking, critical thinking. I taught my staffs that same slides that I took in 2018. I still have the slides on my laptop. That's to tell you how important for me to reach out to IG myself on LinkedIn to say, sir, I want to thank you, and this has really transformed my life. Because for everything I think about, for everything I do, I always map it back to how did I start to think this way. And I can tell you, it started from that training. 5 days, Monday to Friday, I did not miss 1 minute. And I reflected on everything that was taught, even till now. As I'm talking to you, I'm still learning. I joined the training that Mrs. Akudo, I took 1 or 2 things from it. I'm still learning. We are all still learning. But the purpose of this is to create a community that can make us believe that we can do stuff. We are youth are much more than those above 40s and 50s right now. So we really need a paradigm shift of information, understand the ingredients that someone like IG and all of our speakers here have done to make something meaningful in their career. We really need to understand this, and the sky is our starting point. So I would end there. Thank you very much.
I'd like to say something, if you don't mind.
Did you go ahead?
Go on, IG.
So, Mayowa, when you say you're emotional, I don't know how you want me to feel. Because when you throw seeds out of the window, even if one germinates, you're happy. So when I met with you in the office, I reached out, when you reached out to me, I said I wanted to see you. And when I listened to you, I got emotional, because this was why we set up this program. Look at you. 3-4 years after graduation, look at where you are. Because you remain focused, you imbibe the soft skills. In fact, I was nowhere near you where you are today at your age. You are a captain of industry in the building, in the making. You are going to be a big man in Nigeria. And I can only just wish you the best of luck and continue to cheer you on. And as I grow older and I look back and I see you succeeding and growing, I will just remain so proud. So this is an opportunity for all of you. I was hoping, I saw something, I had a vision. But people like you have brought that vision to reality. And I thank you. Well done.
Wow, just wow. I mean, that testimony is so inspiring. So I have been told that Mayowa's story was very inspiring. And I was looking forward to hear it, but it hits me. It hits me very. I'm still recovering from, this testimony. It's so inspiring and it's amazing what the soft skills training has birthed, what it has given birth to. So for everyone here, I just want to let you know how opportune you are to be a part of this. I know that Mr. Bagwe has a lot to say. I know he has a lot to say to buttress Mayowa's point. I would be opening the floor to you, sir, in a couple of seconds. I just want to remind all our participants, that we are watching you. The opportunities for internship and mentorship is available, for the most active participants. And also there will be a link that will be dropped in the chat room. Please fill it when you see it. Mr. Bangwe, up to you. Mr. Bangwe, are you able to unmute yourself?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. IG, I hail you, sir. Wow. I want to thank everyone and Mayowa, fantastic, very inspirational story. And that's the power of vision. Just like IG said, that sometimes when you throw out your seeds, you're just hoping that one seed would germinate and you would look back and say, I've done the right thing. And I dare say, sir, you have done the right thing. This is the fruit of what you have seen many years ago. There's a lot to say, and I want to start off with some of the things that Mayowa has said and sort of put a context with, and so that we sort of have the principle to guide our thinking. The first thing that he kept saying that I felt that was really strong was he mentioned the concept of value. I'm going to put values into two buckets. First thing is understanding the value that you bring. And to understand value, there are four things that I think that's very important that you would notice in his conversation with us. First thing that he mentioned about value for him was sort of capturing it. So capturing value is, what can I truly offer? And for you to understand, that means that you need to spend some time to think. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill asked one of the richest men in the world at the time, called H.L. Hunt, and he asked him a simple question. So why is it that people are not successful? And he said there are two things. So number one, people have not determined what they truly want out of life, and two, they're not willing to pay the price. Say that again. People have not determined what they truly want out of life, and two, they're not willing to pay the price. And I would like to ask a question. What price are you willing to pay for the prize that you seek? So for Mayowa, for instance, he had captured value. Captured value right now for him was that he determined the kind of person that he truly wants to be. And this is very instructive for each and every one of us. So when you capture value, that is the kind of things, the principles that would guide me, the next thing is to create it. Creating it now is documenting and giving it as your own North Star, like your own compass, guiding you on life's journey. So when you capture, that is to have a sense of where you're going to, and you create it by documenting it, the next thing is, how do I communicate value? In other words, how do I deliver value? And that's what he did. He went out of his way. He was clear in his mind what he truly wanted to do. The second component of value that is important is being principle-centered. When you are principle-centered, there are four things that will enable you again, right? The first one really is that your sense of security does not come from anything that is external to you. This very important principle. That is, so in other words, and I saw that a lot of people were making that comment, it was fantastic, especially when you listen to what Mayowa said when he lost out on the leadership race in his campaign. Listen to what he said. Did you hear what he said? You know that he lost out and all of that. In other words, guess what? That you are not defined by your title. But let me put it in a quote. Eric Fromm said this. He said that if I am what I have, and if what I have is lost, who am I? I'll say that again. If I am what I have, and if what I have is lost, who am I? You're not defined by your title. You're not defined by your acquisition. Critical driving force that serves as your security are the values, your principles, the things that guide you on the inside. What are those principles? So if you're truly going to succeed on destiny's path, whether in career, whether in business, whatever it is that you set your heart to do, what are those things that define you? Remember, what defines is not the Rolex wristwatch, it's not the Bentley, it's not going to be any of those things that are external to you, or even people's approval. What defines you are the values, things like integrity, things like grit. Grit is G-R-I-T, which means the combination of passion and perseverance. Tenacity is only the bulldog that can hold you, right, and still breathe at the same time. That is what you see in Mayowa. The second thing that you see when you're principle-centered is what you notice is about guidance. What is your frame of reference? So he was disqualified. But guess what? He had the next time mentality, not the next time mentality. Okay, I made a mistake right now. What do I need to do? So I am not bouncing back. I am bouncing forward. Because bouncing back simply means that you go back to the same rut that brought you in the first place. Albert Einstein said this statement. He said a significant problem that we face cannot be resolved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. But when you bounce forward, it means that you have learned. I always tell people that failure is success turned inside out. In other words, failure is a reminder that there is a deficiency of knowledge. That's what he said. You know what? Okay, I did not get the presidency. Can I get a small role? Next time mentality. What's your frame of reference? Like Henry Ford said, he says, if you believe that you can, if you believe that you can't, in both ways you are right. Thank you so much. Yes, failing forward. This is critical. What's your frame of reference? What are the things that guide you? In other words, when I look at your frame of reference, what is your belief? A belief is defined as a so it's an internal representation. An internal representation is influenced by your environment. If you're looking at yourself and you're considering yourself small, change that mentality, or else you will not make any form of progress. The other two things that adds to that very quickly, really, is to security, to guidance, is a sense of power. You are not powerless. When you are principle-centered, you find out that you're not powerless. You notice that you have options. And that's what you see in Mayowa's life, that he has options, because you're not a product of your circumstance, you're a product of your consistent choice. In other words, it is your choice that you're here right now. You're listening to this program. It is your choice to do what you need to do. It is not somebody chasing you from the village. It is not XYZ. It is your choice. You're not a product of your circumstance. You're a product of your consistent choice. It's your choice. And guess what? Your choice is influenced by your sense of self. You're not powerless. And when I noticed this man from Mayowa, he said he was not powerless. Okay, I can't do this. You know what? I choose to be different. I always tell this to people, that stop focusing on the things that you can't change. Stephen Covey calls a center of concern. The center of concerns are things that are there, clear and present day danger, but there's nothing you can do about it because it's not originating, or you're not a progenitor of it. But you have what you call your circle of influence. Your circle of influence means the things that I can change. I can change the way I think. I can change the way I respond to a problem. So many of us are scientists, and if you're not, this formula is very easy. E plus R is equal to O. E plus R is equal to O. E is events. R is your responses. O is your outcomes. If you want to change your outcomes in life, right? Change your R, your responses. Because you can't change those events. You can change the way you respond. If I respond differently or react differently, I can change the quality of. That's exactly what Mayowa did. The fourth thing that is essential, wisdom. And wisdom is important. Wisdom is what directs you. And you notice, wisdom will direct you to intern. Wisdom will direct you to ask right questions, because when you have right questions, you always get right responses. Like somebody said, your success is on the other side of the quality. Other key leadership skills that I think that are so important for each and every one of us is what I call reperception. Reperception. The word reperception is very simple. It's from a woman called Amy Webb. Fantastic thought, which means we perceive your world. That is, look at existing data and challenge what they are bringing out. Outcome. Events plus response equals outcome. Now, wow. Events plus response equals outcome. Okay. All right. So as I was saying, reperceive your world. Challenge on existing assumptions. Challenge your own assumptions about yourself. Challenge the assumption about who you are. And that's what Mayowa did. He challenged himself. Okay, I can't communicate. Challenge. That is what society will say. Accept who you are. No. Challenge yourself. And that's what he did. You know what? I'll consistently do it. Because the truth about the matter is that until we change the way we think about a problem, that's what that problem will always be persistent. You see, so there's something about your belief system. I want you to know this to everybody, that your brain does not know anything apart from the interpretation you give a matter. Your brain does not know anything apart from the interpretation you give a matter. So in other words, the life that you're living, it is the interpretation you have given or the meaning you have given to that matter. That is why two people can see the same thing and give different interpretations. If I change the interpretation about a thing, I can change the quality of my life. That's what Mayowa has done. I cannot communicate. You know what? I want to be better. So in other words, every single time I see a mistake, what happens is that mistake reinforces the fact that I'm getting better. Growth has to be an intentional, conscious decision to reperceive your world. For those of us who are thinking in career, it's also important that you develop what I call a 360-degree leadership mentality. And, you know, the previous speaker, I just joined in as she was talking, the ability for you to manage 3 sets of people within your sphere, that is to manage the people that are above you, your boss, understand the expectations of the people that are leading you. It's important. The question is whether they're bad or good, or whether they're always shouting on you does not matter. The question is this: how can I find ways in partnering, not managing, but partnering with my boss as long as I'm where I am? Remember, when you go into an organization, this is very important, everyone. You don't need people to like you. If you want people to like you, go to a social club. Go and join the Koi Club or Lagos Mainland Club. You need people to respect you. Respect you on what? On the principles. That's where true respect. Learn how to partner with your boss, understanding what he needs. Going the extra mile, because of the extra mile, there's no traffic jam. Manage the people that are your contemporaries and learn to manage the people that are beneath you. That's very important. Another key skill that I feel that is very important that you notice is for Mayowa, and I think is key for everyone, which is a powerful soft skill, is emotional intelligence. And this is based on research, emotional intelligence. Like, emotional intelligence is a whole body of work. So if you read the World Economic Forum 2023 report on the future of jobs, would notice there that they give 10 critical skills for the future. Going into 2027 and 2030, you would notice a key competence under emotional intelligence: empathy, the ability to listen. Listen, guys, I know we're in the age of artificial intelligence, and I know that technology has disrupted our space. There's one thing that is critical, right? that technology cannot replace. The ability for you to understand people, the way people think, called cognitive empathy, the way people feel, which is called emotional empathy, and your natural response, which is called empathetic concern, which is called kindness and consideration. All of that matters. But also under empathy is the ability to listen and ask. Listen, guys, wherever you find yourself, learn to ask questions. Question everything that you see. But before you can ask questions, don't you listen? So IG is saying something, listen. And listening is not just what is being said. Remember, communication are not just words being uttered. Communication is how it's being said. So there's certain things that IG will say. IG might just say something very casually, but notice his body language. Right? Because with that, you are able to capture in a microsecond. And this enables you to ask quality questions based on what you're watching. Empathy. And this what helps you, especially when you're negotiating and when you're trying to make it serious. Because when you are listening, you would also listen to what your customers are not saying. Remember, communication is not what is being said, it's how. So, that critical skill under emotional intelligence. Listen, this is not whether you're Gen Z, you can be Gen whatever. Empathy, the ability for you to effectively communicate, listen to people. And that critical skill that you have heard from Mayowa, and I think it's so important, is to make. Listen, each and every one of us, when you are speaking publicly, it's always good to have butterflies in your stomach. But the matter is this, is that the key to being an effective public speaker is the ability for you to align those butterflies. So, call yourself, look for something that you're very good at, that you like talking about, right? And talk about it. But guess what? For you to communicate is a critical skill. And note, that was also mentioned by the World Economic Forum. And even research was carried out by McKinsey just after COVID, and came up with certain critical skills. You know, they called it deltas, which means distinctive skills for talent. And they came up with 56 of these skills, put it across four categories, across 13 skill categories. Four broad headings, 13 skill categories. I'll read some of them to you. But guess what? McKinsey also emphasizes necessity to stand before people, communicate. So even though I have value and I have so much to deliver, if I can't communicate that, well, we have a lot of people who have great ideas. Their ideas are bubbling in their head, but they don't know how to communicate. So learn how to. Very important. Let me just tell a quick story. A few years ago, so I mentor a lot of young people. I was going to speak at a particular organization, very popular person. I don't want to mention his name. So his holding company has about 13 companies. So they group HR. So all the HR heads were having a retreat. So I was told to come around HR. This young guy just graduated, by the way, from Unilag, very bright young man. And I said, follow me, let's go together and have this conversation. So I told him how to prepare, just mentoring him and all of that. This guy came prepared. So once I was making my presentation, we got into some issues about Gen Zs and all that. And I said, oh, by the way, I have a Gen Z here. So the group HR of the holding company, I said, come here. Since he also studied human resources at Unilag. So he comes out. Guess what happens? Ability to give him an edge. But let me add another key skill. Listen to this, everybody. We come closer, everybody come closer. Never prepare for eventuality. Don't say that again. Be quiet, it's a secret. I just says I should say this to all of you. Should I say it with them, sir? I should say it to everybody, sir. Should I go on, sir? Listen to this. Don't prepare for events alone. Prepare for eventuality. What is an event? An event is what is known. For instance, this is an event. What an event? Things that happen. For instance, if KG says now that I'm going to give opportunity for internship to 2 people here. But guess what? I need 2 people to come up with out-of-the-box thinking ideas of how to solve the construction crisis. Now, that is an eventuality. Don't prepare for events. And this is what I taught this young man. This guy comes out, I didn't know he had been preparing. This guy comes out and he spoke for 45 minutes, presenting and sharing his ideas. Remember what I said, this is a holding company that had 13 companies. So had different heads of HR of the different businesses, as well as the group head HR. Guess what? He got 13 offers. How did he get 13 offers? The ability to communicate value. But guess what? There was a hidden component skill there. That skill is what? The ability for you to understand which prepare for the qualities. The example is that you must ensure that you're registered on LinkedIn. There's so many things that I need your CV. Be able to send you your LinkedIn link, or you have your CV already on your phone. You're always prepared. You're not prepared for events alone. You're prepared. This young man now has gone on to a global firm, has now become a IHR specialist at IBM. Great things. Guess what? Because many of us are always complaining. There are never opportunities. Opportunities are always there. So I always tell people there's nothing called luck. Just the acronym for labor under controlled knowledge. Labor under controlled knowledge. You think IG got to where he was by speaking grammar? No. There are always opportunities that are always coming up every day. Simply, are you willing to seize it? So that is what reperception also means, and that's very important. I still have time. That continue. All right. Let me wrap things
Thank
up.
you so much, Mr.
Okay, I should pause.
Okay, so we would yes. Yeah, I've spoken to, oh my God, so much wisdom. So we would we had a question for Iowa, then we'll get back to you. We'll just have a conversation amongst ourselves before we reach out to the participants for their questions as well. So I think Mr. Mayowa, we have a question for you. I think Peace will take that.
Yeah, I was blown away, just writing. So many secrets shared already. Thank you very much, Mr. David. So Mr. Mayowa, the last question for you. The nature of your profession puts you in a position to interact with clients regularly. In maintaining a good relationship with your clients, what challenges have you encountered and what soft skills did you engage in?
Okay, I would just highlight what Mr. Babatunde said, which I would quote. He said, don't prepare for just events, prepare for eventualities, right? So all my clients so far, they have invested one way or the other. About 95% of them came in through me, right? And when they bought into our project, one thing I did was I didn't delegate even the marketing manager to handle them. So I have direct correspondence with them. And I remember our ongoing project, a client that bought another unit, and he was having this conversation with his wife, and they put me on speaker, and the wife said something. He said, you're one of those few guys that displays high level of emotional intelligence, because when you just started, when you started a business, things were not really going out. You were trying to pitch to different people, and that was the time we bought from you. And now that we bought from you, that we witnessed that you have done 3 more projects, you still deem it fit to be chatting with us directly. Via emails, I'll put my name, so that they would know that I was the one that responded to that email. I have their WhatsApp number. I created a broadcast list where I communicate to them every bi-weekly. That's twice a month. And so the way the investment works is not all the time that they make maximum return. So there are times when we would have an hospitality business. So there are times when we don't have power for like say 1 week or 2 weeks, and we would have to like burn diesel, which would cost us a lot of money. In between, like before the end of the month, I would send them a message, like a letter to all the investors. Oh, this is what has happened this month. Please expect a slight reduction in your returns. Because I would not want them to see the returns and they're not like, what happened? I communicate with them effectively. So I track the returns, and I have a medium where I communicate with all of them effectively. So it boils down to emotional intelligence and understanding that they don't really have to, say this before you respond to them. So it has been proactiveness. Proactiveness has really helped my communication easy with my investors.
Thank you. One thing I picked from there is saying the right thing and saying it at the right time. So that's very insightful, being proactive. Ako, over to you.
Yeah, I'm sure Mr. Bangwe has something to contribute to that. I saw him nodding. Mr. Bangwe, can you hear me?
Please, can you unmute him? Unmute him.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I thank you so much. Maya was so spot on again. And the reason why I'm sort of piggybacking on what Maya said is, again, to give context to great insights about this is, you notice what he said? One key skill for all of us is hunger. Never settle for less. I remember Dr. Phil saying a statement, and that statement was saying it in passing. If you know Dr. Phil is a TV host and all of that. He said the difference between you and a successful person is that you settle for less. You see that despite the fact that he has a measure of success, he's still consistently engaging with his customers. Hungry. The question I would like to ask you today: how hungry are you? Telling you, Les Brown said a statement. So you don't need to be great to get started. You need to get started to become great. You need to consistently have this mindset of being a child. I tell you right now, I'm doing a program next year. I've registered for different courses. Keep learning and growing and getting more involved. Right? Hunger for me is such a critical skill that one of us will have to have. And the next one, and just one last thing, is being proactive and taking initiative. Be proactive and taking initiative. Listen, nothing is going to fall on you like a bag of cherry. You need to take initiative. You need to be really ready to go. So, for instance, if you're working in an organization, for those of us who are working in career, for instance, or you intend to work, initiative. Stop looking at your career linearly. You need to begin to think about projects. What projects are going on right now in your organization that you can be an active participator in? Because when you work on projects, those things are measurable. And if you move to another organization, they can attest because they can see that line. I always tell everybody, especially in career, please listen to this. Build credibility. Write that down. Build credibility. Kotler and Poser in the book called Leadership Challenge, they said credibility is the foundation of leadership. What does credibility mean? Credibility is a track record of performance. Record of performance. And whilst you're working in an organization, whilst you're looking for a coach or a mentor, you will need somebody who can vouch for your competence, which we call a sponsor. Somebody that can speak about you. And the only way that person can speak or vouch for you is record of performance. Whether you're in business, credibility. Credibility is founded on the principles that you say. So remember, when we say being principle-centered, we're not saying that you have it written down, but you're not practicing it. You have to live out your principles because your principles are your guiding lights. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bangwe and Mr. Mayowa. So we are not done yet. So we want to give the participants the opportunity to ask questions. We won't be able to take so much questions, but we would have a few questions from participants. So we have a question.
I see IG's hand up.
Okay. Yes, sir, I can go ahead.
Thank you. Before we leave Mayowa's little discussion, there's something that I think you guys should take away. Learning soft skills is a continuous process. There is no way you can teach all the soft skills in this world in 2 or 4 hours. Now, I told you of how I started learning presentations and public speaking. I have not stopped. There are some lessons I've learned even this year on presentation and public speaking. So when Mayowa left here, he continued to learn on those specific. So you have to train yourself. We have only exposed you to what we think you need, but you are the one to delve deeper. Mayowa told me that up to today, he still watches that video on negotiation. By the way, I've shared the link in the chat section by Deepak Malhotra. He still studies it today. Me too, I still study it today. If I feel I want to refresh my memory, or I'm going for a serious negotiation, I go back and watch that video. I go back and read. So we only stop learning when we go down. I will share the link again, or for anybody who saw it, share for the other people. Share it again so that people can pick it up. So what am I saying is that this is just to expose you that there's something called negotiation, something called critical thinking, there's something called team building, there's something called leadership, there's something called emotional intelligence. Just to tell you that is an area, but you have to go back. The internet is free. There's free information there. Go and study. There are books. Go and read. If you cannot buy a book, go on the internet. Show me what you spend your money on. I will tell you what's important to you. So if you take your money and you buy airtime or data and use that data to go and study negotiation, use the data to go and research critical thinking, go and read, you will only be a better person. So that's one takeaway I want you to go with. It is just, what we've shown you is just a tip of the iceberg. It's for you to go and drill deeper and improve yourselves. The opportunity is there for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IG. As usual, the comment section is already overflowing with lots of emojis. Everyone here has been impacted positively. Even me that I've joined for 4 editions now, this is my 4th edition. I have taken a notebook full of points I'm going to add to my storehouse of soft skills that I would use going forward. Thank you very much, everyone. Now it's time for us to take the questions for the panel session. We'll just be taking very few. So if you have any question, I think we'll take 2 from here and I'll pick 1 or 2 from YouTube too, and that should wrap it up for today. So if there's any question that you have to ask, please, now is your shot to do so. Okay. It seems nobody has questions yet. Okay, Russell is raising up his hand. So Russell, can you please ask your question?
All right, first of all, I will say that thank you very much. The session has been so very enlightening. This is my second chances of attending one of your soft skill training. So the question actually I want to ask is, do you have any website or any link you can drop where we can learn and get a certification on? So that's actually my questions.
Okay, Ako, you want to take that?
Okay, so is that question for the speakers for Mayowa and Mr. Bangwe or general?
Just a general question.
I think it's for KFSD.
Okay, yes. For KFSD.
I don't think we have a learning platform or a certification process. Like I said, we are learning this because we want to be better people at what we do. It's really up to you. It's not for you to go and use it to get a job, but it's for you to prepare yourself. So if you want to learn more, there are other certificates you can get. Go to Coursera and other free certifying bodies. I'm sure you'll find courses on soft skills. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, IG. I just want to chip in a bit too there. So about last 2 sessions, we were giving certificates after this training. But then I asked the program manager and she said that soft skills is not about the certificate, it's about you knowing this. In fact, companies will not ask you for the certificates. It's for you to apply the soft skills that is the main thing. So please, all you've learned today, that is your certificate. No one will take it from you ever. Keep on implementing it and keep on growing on your knowledge. Read books like IG has said. And you can always go back to the YouTube link to rewatch and to remind yourself of all we are learning here today. That's the way you can keep on getting better at your soft skills. I also see.
Can I add something?
All right, IG.
So let me tell you this. You remember Dr. Henrietta of Lagos Business School?
Sure, I do, IG.
I think maybe a couple of years ago, I shared this YouTube links with her. She was amazed. And she begged me that, please, do I have permission? Does she have my permission to use this to teach in her MBA class? I said, why not? What am I saying? Don't undervalue what you are getting for free. These things we are teaching here, Lagos Business School is using it to teach their MBA students. I don't know how many of you have MBA here, but this is what they are using to teach in MBA class. So don't say because it's free, then it doesn't have value. Like Maiwa has shown, this is very useful. Thank you.
Thank you, IG. I saw a hand up earlier. I think Babatunde, yes. So you can go ahead, Babatunde. Okay, Babatunde is not saying anything. Does anyone else have any question, or we wrap it up already? Ako.
Well, I haven't seen any question from YouTube, and I can't see any question here anymore.
So maybe everybody's just digesting it right now because it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. So powerful. So powerful.
This has been such a powerful session, and we can see the replies from the participants. Everybody's grateful. Bolarawa has a question. Please, those interested in the internship, where should we register? So there is no registration, Bolarawa. It was announced earlier that the most active participants, it will be as a reward to them for the internship and the mentorship session. But it's a good thing that you have, shown your interest. So I think that will be taken up by the KFSD team. But there is no official registration for that.
Thank you. I saw Annette Okay's from London, UK. Her hand was raised up a bit. I think she wants to also weigh in at this moment. So Annette, could you please raise your hand so we'll yield the mic to you once more? All right, good.
Okay, so she said her comment is to apply all that she has learned today. I think she's iPhone 7. That's her.
Yes. All right,
ma'am.
You can go ahead now.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a quick comment. I want to commend the 2-day session. I think for the past, at least I can probably say, if not 2 years, 3 years, I have made an attempt to join and to participate in the sessions, and they have been very rewarding. And I just want everybody to take from this, and I appreciate the comments that you made prior to my to what I have to say about certificate. The certificate is not physical. The certificate is what you should be doing or hope to do take from this day in, day out? It's one thing coming annually to join this session, but what do we actually do with them? You know, some people put it down, oh, I have CPD, and I put it down to, you know, I put some hours down and I can put it down for CPD, but what do we actually do with it? And I think it's important that we don't just come, listen, make comments, and then we go away and live our daily lives. We should try and not only emphasize, but also educate ourselves and others. It's almost like a teaching, you know, practice what is being taught here. And I think we will all be better for it. And I want to thank the organizers for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I also see Jamila's hand up. Madam Jamila, over to you.
Thank you very much, Peace. And thank you, everyone, for being here. You are all the reason why we do this. I just wanted to let everyone know, and Annette, I hope this is not going to be out of place, that Annette is a registered quantity surveyor practicing both in Nigeria and the UK. She's a consultant, and she's grown really, she's done very well in her career. And I just wanted us to know that learning never ends. You know, so this is a woman that has gained a whole lot of traction in her career, both in Nigeria and the UK, and yet she's still coming here to listen to what we have to say about soft skills. So whether you're coming here for the first time or you're a repeat participant, please know that every time we have a program, something new comes up and you will definitely learn something. So please don't give up, just keep coming. And we are, like I said, we're here because of you. You are the people that give us a reason to actually do what we're doing. So please keep coming. And thank you, Annette. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And I think at this point, we'll take final words from the panelists today. I hope Mayowa is still on ground. We would like for you to just give us final words. We have entrepreneurs in the house. We have students here. We have professionals, maybe early career or even mid or late career. So please, what final words would you give us with regards to soft skills for career growth? Please share with us, Mayowa Adebolu.
Okay, yeah, I think you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
All right, so I would conclude with this. The organizers of this program, KEZA Foundation, I think everyone that has joined and that has remained here should, you know, do them proud. I mean, make them proud. The reason for this consistent trainings over the years is they want to spark that creativity. Sometimes it requires just a spark. And when you get that spark and you take action, like I want us to take action immediately, like that's it. Because when you don't take action, you just have the knowledge. There's so many people that attended the KEZA soft skill training with me and are still my friends, but you know, they're not applying it. They know it when they sit you down and they tell you, in fact, they can tell you everything they learned, but are they really applying it? So application is really the most important thing. I mean, let's make KEZA proud. In the next 2, 3, 4 years, I would want someone here, multiple people to share their success stories and also be a part of supporting, you know, this program in the nearest future. I would keep doing everything within my power because it has been my source or my core strength. I mean, it started from this training, and I mean, till as long as I'm still alive, I will do everything within my power to support the program. You know, even if they didn't know that I was going to come out at some point to say I was a beneficiary. I'm sure when they were planning the 8th edition, they didn't know there was a Mayowa they trained 4 years ago, 5 years ago that is going to share his story. And that is what I want you guys to see me also as source of inspiration. You know, in the next edition, 3, 4 years, you know, it takes time for you to build something very valuable. So take your time, apply all the skills, and please come and share your stories, and let's build KEZA soft skill community. to a level where people would voluntarily join. They don't even have to share it. When they hear Kaiser Foundation, they just want to voluntarily join because there are a lot of beneficiaries that are doing so well. Thank you very much, IG. Thank you very much, Kaiser. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Your success story is so inspiring. And to know that Asset House is one of the partners for this year's edition, it's a lot of motivation to many of us here. Thank you for your time, Mr. Mayowa. Next is Mr. David Bangui. Please, your final words for everyone here.
Okay, if David is not ready, can I speak?
Sure, IG.
I want to talk about giving back. You see, what Mayowa is doing now is doing what? He's giving back. I quoted that proverb earlier, the Greek proverb, that the society can only grow great when old men plant trees in whose shade they know they shall never sit. It's not enough for you to just be that funnel, to just receive your blessings and let it stop with you. As you gather your blessings, you pass them down to others. That's what we have done, and that's what Mayowa is doing. And that's what I want all of you on this call now to do. Pass your blessings to others, and you will only become a greater leader. Thank you.
Thank you, IG. Mr. Bangui.
Oh, thank you very much. In fact, that's so profound from IG. For me, for those of us in career, I would like to just leave this with you. That is focus. Focus, focus, focus. That's important. And for you, have a career vision for yourself. Someone defines vision as foresight based on insight, benefit of hindsight. Foresight based on insight, benefit of hindsight. And you have your career vision, right? And you are clean. So in managing your energy, paying attention to your own, able to generate the outcomes. My sister-in-law, for instance, I was encouraging her, while she was working in IT, focus, the thing, and all of that. And it paid off for her. I mean, she now landed a job in the UK with one of the big four companies, consultancy firms, now she's now team manager, cybersecurity, for a particular global brand. From here. So focus on your. The last one, for those of us who are building, just like we see in the life of Mayowa, it's important that you are clear on your business. Listen to him carefully. He studied his business and he knew where he drew his lines. For instance, in his asset management company, he knew that, this is what I have as an idea, as a dream, but you know what? I'm going to bring in specialists in all of that. So that's important. So area focus, and number two, be clear on what you do. It is possible. Remember, I am possible. Put that in the chat box. I am possible. Don't look at the cup half empty. Look at the cup half filled. God bless.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Bangui. I am possible. We are possible. Thank you so much. I want every participant to type in the chat box. Thank you, KFSD. Thank you to all our speakers. Thank you to all the people that have impacted us in this session. It's a wrap, guys. Soft Skills Training edition, 8th edition is a wrap. Don't forget to rep Soft Skills Training 8th edition on social media. We must be trending,
Sure.
KFSD SST8. Hashtag KFSD SST8. This has been such an excellent session, and we are all grateful. Thank you so much, KFSD. Thank you so much to all the speakers today. We are wrapping up, and just like all the speakers have said, it is not enough to just hear. You have to apply, you have to do. We will not only be hearers, but also yes, we have to do it so that we can all come and share our testimonies and also, give back. That's the essence of all this, because what's the essence of your success if you can't give back to the community that helped you grow? So it has been an amazing session. We are wrapping up. Our IT team, we need music to dance out. We need the music.
See you at the next edition. See you at the next edition.
See you at the next edition. See you at the 9th edition. So everybody, you can put on your cameras, you're about to take an e-selfie, even as we dance out. Even as we dance out. Yes, let me see all the cameras.
Shout out to everyone that worked behind the scenes to make this edition a success. I need to shout out to the IT team, the corporate comms department. You all saw the boss, maybe you saw it online. It's because of our corporate comms department. Thank you so much for everyone there. Madam Jamila, even though you were not here, you were with us every step.
See you.
God bless you, ma'am. Madam Gifty. Wow, you did a lot to make this happen. For the times that you had sleepless nights, just for this to be birthed successfully, we want to say a big thank you. And for every one of you here that gave us your time for this past 2 days to listen to all the sessions that we impacted.
Don't forget to feedback form. Very important. Don't forget to
stand in the rain as the clouds go away.
So please don't forget to share it. Thank you. We're dancing out.
Sunlight it hides as the clouds make way. For the pouring of my blessings, I will not be afraid. I see it now, I understand, I know. So I embrace it, dance. In the rain, it's for my seed to grow. For every prayer and every seed I've sown, the Lord of the harvest knows I'm reaping back 100-fold. The land is green, it's green, oh, oh. The land is green, it's green. Can't you see? The harvest is ready, 'cause the Lord of the harvest told me so. It's green for me. It's green for me. Standing alone can be a heavy load, but my vows I won't be breaking. Though my heart is aching, I got a word and I won't let go. It's your will I'm seeking, so I keep on believing. I see it now, I understand, I know. So I embrace it, dance. Once again, it's time for me to grow. For every prayer and every tear I've sown, Lord of the harvest knows I'm reaping joy 100-fold. The land is green, it's green, oh, oh. The land is green, it's green. Can't you see? The harvest is ready, 'cause the Lord of the harvest told me so. It's green for me. I thought it was over, thought you were done with me, but we're just beginning. Whoa, my life is a journey. I will walk with you, I will go where you want me to. Yes, I will go. Come on.
people are still here. 35.
I go always pray for you. I go always pray for
I'm
you.
loving the playlist, but I have to go.
Make
All right, Mom. Bye.
Jesus
Bye,
see
bye
you
everyone.
through. I go always pray for you. As all of us they go our separate ways. Na victory we go to tell when we see again of how God dealt with me and bless you too. I go always pray for you. Even if I fall from you, you always in my heart. It's not true, not true. I just want to let you know that whatever I do, I go always pray for you. We go surely meet again. And when we meet again, none of us go day in shame. But not from glory to glory, in Jesus' name, we go surely meet again. Oh, if I offend you before, forgive me. So that when we see again, you know go get TPP for me. We all need each other to see life through. So I go always pray for you. And even if I fall from you, you go always in my heart. It's not true. I just want to let you know, say, whatever I do, I will always pray for you. Hey, and even if I fall from you, you go always in my heart. It's not true. I just want to let you know, say, whatever I do, I will always pray for you. Even if I'm far from you, you always in my heart. Not true. I love you with the love of Christ. I just want to let you know, say, whatever I do, I go always pray for you. Say, make the grace of God no come out and making peace. Never see the power upon me. Whatever you do, and in love to see you through. I just want to let you know, say, whatever I do, I will surely pray for you. Even if I far from you, you go always in my heart. That's true. Hey, I just want to let you know, say, whatever I do, I go always pray for you. Just to let you know, say, whatever I do, I go always pray for you.